Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called My Husband Hides His Beauty. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! The story opens with our girl having a nightmare of being burned to death in her own home, which causes her to wake up gasping and crying. Yes, that is how she died in her past. But now she's just a 12-year-old cutie patootie red-haired girl who became an orphan barely a year after being reincarnated because her parents died in the land of the devils up north. So she is now a maid living with her uncle's household. What's worse in this world is that if you say anything about your past life, you'll be labeled a witch and be burned at the stake, which our girl never wants to experience again. Today, while on her way to deliver the family's meal, Leticia overhears her uncle's family arguing about the matter that her uncle has been searching for the deed to the mine that Leticia's family owns for the past 10 years in order to take over the property. His obsession with the land undoubtedly plays a role, but the true issue lies in their obligation to wed one of their daughters to the notorious monster head of Halstead. The man is said to have been born with an ugly look, and the family is so terrifying that they have 3 old witches who will sacrifice the lady they do not like to the devils. To summarize, he was forced to get into a contract with the mentioned family because of their help when he was in danger looking for the documents in the land of the devil. The contract then flies over Leticia, and she takes it and reads it, which states that Alistair Gray, who owes his life to the master of Halstead, must repay his debt by delivering one of his daughters to him. Alistair must marry off someone who is linked to him by blood, but who is the perfect candidate? Our poor girl Leticia! Alistair's 2 daughters agree, and they say she'll be an excellent match for the known monster of the north because she too is a witch who talks weirdly in her sleep. In order to save Leticia from being interrogated by the temple if news gets out that she's a witch, Mrs. Gray uses this new information to frighten her into marrying into the Halstead family. The next day, she is aboard a wagon on its journey to the north when they are abruptly stopped by a swarm of monsters known as imps. The carriage swiftly reverses course, abandoning her to face the imps' hideous gazes alone. Leaving a 12-year-old daughter behind? They're even worse! Leticia runs into a cave to hide, but when she peeks, she discovers that the imps are hanging butane fuel cans as decorations on their little cart. That's definitely not from this historical world. Thanks to these strange random butane cans, our girl devises a brilliant plan to avoid being eaten by those red goblins. She sneaks behind them, steals one butane, and throws it to the fire horse, who chews it, resulting in a massive explosion. Still, some manage to make it through, and one of them is on their way to attack Leticia when an unknown guy hurls a dagger into its skull. Following that, she observes 2 elderly ladies fending off the remaining imps, along with a third who discovers the Gray's crest in an empty, destroyed wagon. It seems like those guys didn't make it, did they? They swiftly shift their attention to Leticia, who confirms that she is indeed the daughter of Count Gray, adopted to be exact. Meanwhile, she senses an unsettling presence behind her, the voice of a man who is relieved that Gray fulfilled his promise, and turns around to find a man wearing a horned mask, concealing his face. Upon noticing his dragon crest, she comes to the realization that he is both the Lord of Halstead and her husband. I know he's tall, but his age isn't too far off from her, so nothing to worry, guys. And I love how he looks like a baddie demon lord here. They have arrived at Halstead Castle, and Leticia cannot believe that the rumors about these 3 witches and the monster ruler are true. They just saved you, dear. Still, she trembles in fear, so the elder lady, wearing her monocle, decides to introduce herself as Alexa, the butler, with a serious face, which scares her even more. Not only that, the other 2 decide to follow her lead, so Leticia finds out that the lump one is Bastian, the nurse's aide, and the one with the eye patch is Casaro, the chef. But at what price? The little one is so traumatized. It's really nice to see 3 goofy-looking elders. That night, Leticia couldn't sleep because she is afraid the 3 witches will eat her or something. So she went outside to find a way to escape. She then spots 2 guards and hurriedly hides until Erden, our masked main lead, runs into her. She is unable to respond when Erden asks where she's going. So he leads her to a room, opens a secret passage, and assures her that the path will lead her to the stables. He goes on to say that she can pick a horse and that the horsekeeper will accompany her till she reaches the south, which confuses Leticia. Well, it's just that Erden knows she's trying to escape, so he tells her she's free to do so because he still needs to read his book. which sparks her interest. So she looks over to his hand and notices a book about bunnies. Oh, he's a softie, is he? This is her chance, but Leticia refuses to leave, claiming that she has nowhere to go because she lacks funds, and that coming home would mean saying hello to the temple. She begs him to let her stay and take her as his wife, but Erden instantly refuses for the time being, leading her to panic and assume that this guy is going to eat her or offer her as a sacrifice. This causes her to cry her heart out, forcing Erden to yell that they can't marry yet because he, too, is a minor. Is he simply too tall, or is our girl just too small? Anyway, they're both adorable. Leticia has finally calmed down after a hot drink, and while Erden explains that they do not eat people or offer sacrifices, she notices something cute. The mug design has a bunny. She soon finds out that their age difference is only 3 years, as Erden is only 15 years old. To ease her fears, Erden reveals that the believed haunting lock room is actually a sparkling room made for her, and that the so-called 3 witches are actually kind people, but that the rumors about him are true, stating that he does, in fact, have a terrible face. He believes that someone like her deserves far better, prompting Leticia to reveal that she is not the Count's daughter and was only forced to go because her uncle refuses to send his daughters. She then looks down and asks if he will send her back, which was Erden's goal from the beginning. But he has changed his mind and will let her stay if she wishes, which she confirms. He makes the decision to guarantee her safety by writing a vow that she will be protected from danger so long as she remains within the castle. Oh, he is such a green flag. He then accompanies her to her room, but before he leaves, he is taken aback when Leticia addresses him by his name, something he hadn't heard in a long time since his parents' deaths. After he leaves the room, a part of her starts to believe Erden isn't such an awful person, and she wonders how he looks behind his mask. Meanwhile, our boy looks at his reflection in the water and calls himself hideous. We haven't seen his face yet, but I can tell he's lovely. So this could be due to a curse, or he could lower his standards, or is he just really humble? Anyway, if he's hideous, then I'm a potato. The next day, Leticia goes to the garden, happy for a good night's sleep, free of nightmares, and she happens to spot an apple tree. But our girl is too small to pluck any of them. Erden approaches her quietly and begins expertly cutting the apple into a bunny-shaped apple, which he then gives to her. She happily munches on the apple slices, but just as she's about to express her gratitude, Erden disappears. She is now having breakfast, and her eyes widen as she sees the exquisite food in front of her. Yet her mind goes to Erden and discovers that he went out to hunt devils nearby, which is his duty and responsibility as Lord of Halstead. Leticia becomes worried, prompting Bastian to comfort her that she doesn't need to worry because he's strong and will return the next day. Suddenly, Leticia claims that she wants to help their household, leading Alexa to believe that the potential second master is a Karahan, an old northern dialect that refers to a true ruler. Alexa then sits next to her and explains that the castle is protected from both inside and outside, and that while one is now absent, the other should protect it from within. Alexa suggests that she help make the blessings knots. It is an old tradition that if one leaves for battle with self-made knots on his sword, he will return safely, and the threads used to tie the knots will guide him home. After breakfast, Romina and the other maids gladly welcome Leticia to help them make knots. While she is overwhelmed by the kindness she's receiving, it makes her question if this happiness will be short-lived. She keeps pondering as they hear the bell, which warns them of an evil beast attack. Everyone panics, which worries Casaro, especially because Lord Halstead is away. Curiosity then leads Leticia to discover that giant ants are attacking them, despite their initial belief that the sandstorm had washed them away, implying that they must have used an artifact. Alexa then discovers that the giant ants have already arrived in full force from underground, and if they don't hurry, they will begin building a tower of soil against their castle walls in order to invade it. Moreover, their uncertainty about Lord Halstead's location leads Casaro to believe that their enemies waited until he left, thereby reducing their number of guards. Leticia then insists on helping, leaving Bastian with no choice. As everyone is busy doing their part to help, Leticia is astonished to find the same gas can again. The enormous ants become more aggressive, pushing soil against their wall. Everyone panics, and Alexa asks Casaro for the next step, which Leticia overhears. Leticia is hesitant to inform them about the butane gas, fearing that they will ask her about it, and if they discover she can recall her previous life, she will be labeled as a witch. However, as she looks at them all, she recalls that the castle must be guarded by 2 masters, and that when one is absent, the other must safeguard it from within. This makes Leticia stop overthinking and shares her plan, explaining that they have to use the gas cans. She describes how igniting it will cause a big explosion, so those ants that are tunneling will be buried and the ant towers will surely crumble. Leticia's only problem now is that they don't have archers, but it appears that Halstead isn't your average household, as Romina and the other maids are actually trained archers. Alexa then sends Romina up the tower with Leticia and the longbow archers, while Casaro authorizes the remaining members to shoot gunpowder-tipped arrows to help spread the fire, and they all prepare for a counterattack. With arm muscles tensed and unwavering focus, Romina, the best maid, releases her arrow in unison with the other maids, resulting in a powerful explosion below them. The ant tower is crumbling, so they relentlessly launch a torrent of fiery and explosive arrows to prevent any chance of recovery. Leticia then notices the queen ant trying to escape, and to make matters worse, they only have one butane left. Well, rest assured as Romina sets her sights on the queen, eliminating it to ashes and leaving behind only a mysterious item. What's this? A drop item after killing the boss? Anyway, I'm a fan of Romina and butane. They win and everyone celebrates, which means it's time for Leticia to be questioned. But to her surprise, Alexa simply lifts her and makes her the highlight of their celebration. Alexa promises that the Halsteads will never forget what happened today and definitely repay her, even if it means risking their lives, which calms her small heart and leads her to cry. Meanwhile, Erden and his troops arrive and witness the chaos outside their palace, so he rushes inside, but is relieved to discover that they wiped out the ants with no damage, led by their second master, Leticia. Leticia walks gleefully towards Erden, but she pauses when she realizes how he flinches, assuming that he finds her unusual and most likely a monster at that. To her disbelief, Erden kneels and expresses his gratitude to her for protecting their people, making her blush and saying that she simply does not want anyone to be hurt. Erden is currently hanging out with Casaro as she peels potatoes, wondering if Leticia is a witch known for eating people and performing magic. But Casaro flips the question back to him, inquiring whether he truly thinks the little lady who quavered on her first day at their castle is a witch, a thought that Erden doubts. Still, Casaro wonders where Leticia gets her information, and says that if she happens to be a witch, that makes her a good witch. This makes me realize that Erden is still a child who needs guidance from his grannies. Following their chat, she advises him to get some rest because tomorrow is his engagement day. The next day, our little lady wears a veil and a simple white gown, as the real wedding will take place after they reach adulthood. While waiting, she can't help but want to grab a snack, but Casaro stops her and says the food is still bland, so she gives her an apple instead. Let her eat so she can grow taller! Erden then walks in, dressed similarly to Leticia, and with his signature Dark Lord-looking mask. They walk hand in hand to the center, where the priest begins the ceremony, and as the choir sings, confetti-like salt falls. Erden says that this is the purest salt in the world, found exclusively in the north, and that throwing salt during celebrations is their tradition. That is why Casaro stated that the food is still tasteless because it needs salt. Erden approaches a door, proclaiming that she has now joined the Halstead family, and he officially welcomes her when the unsettling black room behind him opens. Is that a basement or what? He makes it look like a villain's lair. He then extends his hand to her and says that this is the final stage of their ceremony, which frightens Leticia, but she gives in to him. They enter, and the steps lead them down below, making her anxious that she may die hungry or worse, be on the menu tonight. She screams when she sees Erden clutching a knife, and before our boy can explain what it's for, Leticia begins shouting and strikes him in the face. Even with his mask on, he looks hurt and sweet as he explains that they need to burn the contract at the altar and smudge a drop of their blood on the document to finalize it. After she's done, it's Erden's turn to take off his gloves, which Leticia is very curious about since she wonders if he has scales or if his hand is furry. But to her amazement, his hand is flawless. He could be a hand model with that hand. After they burn the document, Erden shows her a key and guides her to his family's treasure. The area appears sacred, and she notices a statue of Erden's parents. But her thoughts are interrupted as Erden calls her to check out an ancient book encased in a cage with chains all around it. He then reveals that it is the Great Book of Secrets, written by a great sage who vanquished demons long ago. He goes on to say that after his parents passed away, he tried to summon demons, something he swears he would never do again. But the sage appeared out of nowhere, defeated them, and took them as slaves. We'll probably learn why he summoned devils later. In any case, Erden unlocks the cage while explaining that the old sage recorded his victory over the devils in writing, but that the copy he owns is one of several with missing pages in an unknown language. Erden enthusiastically suggests that Leticia examine it, assuming that her level of knowledge will allow her to read it. She has no choice but to look at it, and oh my, that old sage was Korean because this book is literally written in Hangul. Sage got reincarnated too? That explains the butane cans! Unaware, Leticia reads the Korean book aloud, which makes Erden so excited and requests that she read more. While reading, she discovers that the great sage carried things from his realm of origin, suggesting he was not reincarnated like her. Is there like a portal or something? She then informs Erden that the great sage originated in a place where people, known as the modern capitalists, are far more evil than devils, and he used his experiences living among them to defeat the devils in their world. Whoever that sage is, he is not wrong. Leticia wants to know how the sage arrived in this world, but to her disappointment, the following pages are empty. However, unlike her, Erden is gushing nonstop at how amazing she is, and even calls her the Great Southern Sage, giving Leticia no choice but to reveal her identity to him. She is not a sage, and the book is simply written in the language she used in her past life. Erden pauses for a while, and upon learning that he is the only one she has told this to, he swears to keep her secrets with him until death because, as a member of the Halstead family, she is under his protection. My boy really knows how to comfort her, and he does it by sharing his secret. First by showing her the Tear of Troy, an artifact recovered from the queen ant she defeated. He then informs her that artifacts have varied abilities, and that each estate's castle holds one treasured artifact, which makes her wonder if the Halsteads have one as well. To her surprise, he reveals that it is actually his heart, as his Halstead ancestors successfully embedded the artifact in their bodies to fight demons. However, the drawback was that it made their descendants look terrible, but on the plus side, he has a natural knowledge of all artifacts' names and powers. He then shifts the conversation to his dream of protecting good people, which requires him to destroy all devils. He goes on to state that he will set out on an expedition to gather copies of the Great Book of Secrets, indicating that they'll be unable to see each other for some time. This saddens her, but she chooses to support him, saying that Erden must return with the book because she is willing to help him with his dream. What's amazing about these two is that they know how to communicate. They return to the celebration only to discover that they have been in the basement for quite some time, while everyone else is enjoying themselves and indulging in food and drinks. Just as they are about to eat, Bastian interrupts, saying that it's time for bed and leaving them with no choice. They're really just kids here. The next day, while she merrily eats breakfast, she overhears Kasaro's horrified voice from the porch. She then peeks and discovers that Erden is planning to leave that afternoon, startling the three grannies with his abrupt decision, given that the journey will take heaven knows how long. While he is away, dangerous creatures can strike at any moment, and they fear they'll be helpless to defend the castle and its people. Erden is already aware of this, so he shows them the Tear of Troy, an artifact recovered from the queen ant that has the power of oblivion and disguise, and explains that with the artifact, the Halstead castle will be erased from the minds of all humans and beasts outside their estate, making sure that no one remembers where it is or even that it exists. Erden then vows to his grannies that he will succeed in his quest so they can live in peace and comfort without fighting devils, which makes them all cry at his seeming maturity despite the fact that he is just their young master bunny fanatic. Suddenly, he spots Leticia, but she runs inside, prompting the maids to believe she's upset with him. He is concerned and confused about what to do, so Bastian comforts him and assures him that she'll look after Leticia, so he does not have to worry. Meanwhile, Leticia rushes back to her room, thinking how her heart breaks to see Erden prepare to leave. He appears lonely, and despite his young age, he is so kind and dedicated that he bears the weight of everything. She then hurriedly grabbed up the blessing knot she had personally made. At least when they meet again, they'll be ready for love, so this makes sense. Erden's grannies reassure him that he can always return, emphasizing that their primary concern is his safety, not the books, while he firmly tells them that he'll be fine. At that point, he spots Leticia and quickly apologizes for his unexpected departure. He asks her to look after the castle while he is away, and says that she is free to leave Halstead if she wishes. However, she interrupts him and proclaims her willingness to wait for him there, handing him the knot of blessings. everyone watches the squad leave and say their goodbyes as they begin their journey, while Alexa and Kusaro prepare underground to set the Tear of Troy at the heart of their castle. Leticia joins the people at the gate tower and yearns to shout out Erden's name, but she realizes he's already out of reach. However, knowing that nobody knows when they will cross paths again, she raises her voice and calls out his name, causing him to turn around just as the castle disappears from view. The soldiers he's with are starting to doubt their ability to find their way back, but my boy Erden reassures them that they don't need to worry because he remembers. 7 long years have passed. As the carriage approached Duke Belair's estate, the devils in charge of guarding the gate stop it and ask about the land's name and purpose. Kusaro, furious, informs them that they are there for the night market and instructs them to just open the gate. However, they must undergo a thorough inspection before entering, so Kusaro has no choice but to open the carriage door for inspection. The devil records that 1 coachman and 2 passengers are entering their castle. He then inquires about where they are from, and Leticia casually replies that they are from Halstead. My gosh, that little darling Letty has blossomed into such a stunning young woman! Also, I have to say, I did not expect that the time skip would be this long. Anyway, they're now strolling through the night market, and Kusaro expresses her concern when Leticia mentions their castle's name. But our girl simply grins and assures her that no one will remember because the artifact is still active. While they shop for necessities, her mind can't help but drift to Erden, who they haven't heard anything from in the last 7 years. She worries about how he's doing right now, if he's even alive at all, as everyone is becoming increasingly concerned as the Tear of Troy's power is already weakening. She is then fascinated by a salesman, so she checks what he is selling, and to her delight, she finds her favorite chocolate bar. She buys it and is glad that the snack has not gone rotten yet. According to reports, these otherworldly items came from an unexplained portal, a door, some say, while others refer to it as a storehouse, whose precise location remains a mystery. Interesting. She then overhears a shouting golem who is enraged that no one knows about the Halsteads for the past 7 years, which surprises Leticia, but thankfully Kusaro is there behind her to calm her down. Looking back 7 years, the other demons know that the imps were beaten by a small bride whom they think to be the Great Devil. However, the golem doesn't seem to care about this and instead says that the Halsteads must have used some sort of magic to make everyone forget about them. He then removes his hood and everyone is surprised to see Karax, Velosa's strongest stone golem, return. Karax and his tribe actually went to the outer region for training after being defeated by Erden, and he now intends to attack the Halstead with the assistance of the Centurias, who are on their way to the Spider's tomb. Now inside the carriage, Leticia is worried that the artifact doesn't work on Karax. But Kusaro thinks it's because Karax left when the artifact was strong and returned after it weakened. Kusaro proposes attacking Karax first in the Spider's tomb, a suggestion that Leticia rejects due to the maze-like nature of the location. But she's also aware that sitting back and waiting for the artifact to wear out is unsafe. Leticia begins to analyze, and thanks to the Great Book of Secrets and the other books in the library that she's been reading on repeat for the past 7 years, she has gained knowledge about both the high-ranking Devil Society and the lower-ranking demons. So when they get home that evening, Leticia explains her plan with the 3 grannies, which Alexa finds extremely devilish, while Bastion is concerned that her plan to attack the stone golem Centaurus before they join Karax is still risky, because there are 100 of them. This is true, but if they band together with Karax, they'll be much more deadly. Leticia can only pray that the stone golems are as stupid as she pictured them to be. She then gives them a resolute look, assures them that she will do her duty to protect Halstead, and then leaves for her bed. As soon as she is alone in her room, she begins to tremble because she can't believe she came up with such a risky plan and fears that she'll not even reach her 19th birthday. However, simply thinking about her people boosts her spirit, and she would do anything to protect them until Erden returns. The day has arrived, and they are now in a woodland which Leticia believes is where the Centurias have assembled. And the girl is correct because she comes face to face with this massive Centurias, which she did not expect given how small Karax is. Although, I must admit, these golems do appear goofy compared to Karax. These gigantic creatures now surround Leticia, the 3 grannies, and 5 of their men. Whatever her plan is, I really hope it works. The golems are wary of them because they are carrying weapons, but before they turn hostile, Leticia lifts her hand, and everyone acts as if they're dead. After that, she introduces herself as the Great Devil and taunts the golems with her fierce gaze, labeling them as insignificant creatures. She raises her hand once more to display her powers, and Kusaro pretends to be under Leticia's influence, leading the golems to assume that our girl is, in fact, the renowned Great Devil. After she verifies that the golems are stupid, she shows them 100 gold coins, which makes them giddy with envy since, as everyone knows, golems are absolutely obsessed with money. She decides to turn this into an advantage by offering them her entire fortune if they can defeat the 5 soldiers, an offer that they gladly accept. As the golems celebrate, Leticia casts a glance at her men, expressing her sorrow for using them as bait while they tremble in fear. Can we just applaud these men for volunteering for this mission? The game begins, and after evading several of the golems' attacks, the men fall dead, which the golems find strange but do not mind. Everyone is now searching for the last soldier, and they start arguing that they don't want to divide the money equally, as it would mean they will only receive 1 gold coin each. Consequently, the golems start fighting each other until only one severely injured golem is left. She played them really smoothly and wisely. He demands the Great Devil for his money, but when he turns around, Leticia, who looks amazing with her bow and arrow, shoots him in the head. Greed and stupidity aren't a good mix, but I must say, I'm a teeny-weeny sad for those cute golems. Now that the mission is complete, Leticia collapses to the ground and begins crying as she expresses how terrified she was, prompting the 3 grannies to instantly comfort her. The soldiers then begin collecting the life stones from the golem's heart, and it is safe to say that no one escaped because they collected precisely 100 of them. Alexa then informs Leticia that the Tear of Troy will most likely run out of power in 2 days, prompting our girl boss to become serious again by announcing that as soon as they return home, they must prepare everyone for battle against Koroks. They've returned to Halstead and everyone is busy preparing, while Bastian visits Leticia and brings up how little and malnourished she is when she first arrived. Granny breaks down in tears as she wishes Leticia would always be their little girl, and she kneels down before Leticia and tells her to escape if things get bad. Despite Leticia's feelings of guilt, Bastian encourages her to make a pledge because they cannot afford to lose her, especially since they have no idea whether Erden is alive or not. Not long after that, the artifact's power finally fades, revealing their fortress once again after it had been hidden for 7 long years. Bastian can now stand shoulder to shoulder with that once young girl as they both get ready for an all-out war with Koroks. I'm so proud that she matured well, but seriously, when is Erden coming home because Bastian is giving the death flag here? After Koroks hastily orders the Centarias to strike, he gets confused when nobody emerges. Leticia seizes the opportunity to frighten him by displaying the 100 golem life stones. The golems believe Leticia is the great demon who made a contract with the Halstead, but Koroks knows that those who make a contract must work together, and the fact that Leticia is alone convinces him that Lord Halstead is away and that our girl is simply deceiving them. He then gives the order for his troops to charge, forcing Leticia to take defensive measures as well. The maids unleash a barrage of arrows, the soldiers employ catapults, and Bastian skillfully wields her sword. However, Bastian is caught off guard as a golem silently approaches from behind, capturing her with one hand and causing her to cry out in pain. Thankfully, Kusaro arrives just in time, swiftly moving behind the golem and immediately striking its nape with her dual swords. Don't scare us like that, Bastian, but okay, attack on golems! Instead of praising Kusaro, Bastian still throws a joke about how she's just getting warmed up when they notice Alexa getting all fired up, which Bastian is concerned about because Alexa has high blood pressure. This granny truly adds to the humor of the situation. In any case, Alexa unleashes her battle cry and everybody gathers their full strength to defend their home. She really said Halstead assemble right there. They better be safe. They are about to tie up the majority of the golems and defend their fortress thanks to their coordination. But they are still humans, and the conflict is far from over even as the sun sets. Everyone is worn out, especially Leticia, whose fingers are covered in injuries from shooting arrows, so they have no other option but to return to the castle and seal the gates. However, these golems are going to destroy their gates in no time, so Leticia decides to have the children and the elderly evacuated immediately. Bastian wants Leticia to escape as well, but she uses her assertive voice to beg Bastian to prioritize the people first, and she swears to depart after that, leaving Bastian with no choice but to obey her orders. However, she remains at the gate tower and continues to use her bow to attack in order to buy the people some time. But after realizing she's run out of arrows, Leticia's terror takes over her. Hearing the golems smash their walls makes her injured hands shake. but all she can do is stare up at the stars and tell Erden she's sorry she failed to defend their home. Oh, you did really well holding them off, darling. Suddenly, she hears a flapping of wings and opens her eyes to behold the exact emblem of Halstead, a dragon with 2 sets of wings. This causes Leticia to gaze into the distance, hoping to see the man she misses, and certainly, after 7 years, Erden, looking so bulk, has returned to save his wife. I missed this masked man bunny enthusiast, but boy, what took you so long? Leticia shouts out Erden's name just as she did 7 years ago, and this time, he hears it, which causes him to gaze in her direction. Meanwhile, everyone witnesses the dragon with 2 sets of wings, which is the symbol of Halstead. This is a sign that the Lord of Halstead has returned, which in turn inspires everyone to remain resolute in their efforts to continue the battle and protect their castle. What a grand entrance to return with a dragon! Karaksen turns his focus to Erden and commands his troops to launch an attack on him. Erden and his men continue to advance, while my guy impressively demonstrates his improved strength by launching his spear at the golem's head, shattering it into pieces. Erden then draws his sword, the one with the knot Leticia had given him, and swiftly dismounts from his horse. His gaze stays set on Karaksen as he initiates a strong attack, but this golem is able to counter him. Karaksen launches an attack, only to be caught off guard as Erden's sword swiftly strikes him in the stomach, causing him to fall to the ground. Leticia watches him fight and breathes a sigh of relief, which Erden notices and is probably stunned to see how beautiful she has become, unaware that Karaksen is still alive and ready to strike from behind. Leticia sees this and her voice pierces the air, alerting Erden to the imminent danger. So he quickly turns around and strikes Karaksen on the side. Surprisingly, Erden's sword failed to completely cut through Karaksen's body, leaving Erden vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, Karaksen swiftly retaliates and delivers a powerful blow to Erden's face. Leticia, filled with fear, rushes down the tower to be by his side, while Karaksen is now grasping Erden's neck, trying to strangle him to death. Gosh, Erden is bleeding behind that mask! Fortunately, Leticia arrives just in time on her horse, kicking Karaksen to let go of Erden as she falls from it. Karaksen's anger reaches its peak as his focus shifts to Leticia and he forcefully grabs her by the feet. His intention is clearly to kill her, until Erden swiftly impales him with a spear, piercing his left shoulder. He turns to gaze at Erden, so Leticia seizes the chance to grab Erden's blade, which is still stuck on Karaksen's side, causing the golem to scream in anguish and fall to his knees. Well, this golem really has a short attention span despite his intelligence. With fearless drive, our daring girl lets out a powerful cry as she wields the sword, delivering the fatal blow to Karaksen's head. Karaksen collapses, sending a wave of panic through his followers, who witness their leader's lifeless body. The announcement that Karaksen has been killed by the big devil results in all of the golems immediately packing up in order to guarantee their own safety. Meanwhile, Leticia is overcome with emotion, her breath quickening and her heart pounding. However, when she catches sight of Erden, she instinctively drops the sword and rushes towards him, embracing him in a tight embrace while tears fall down her cheeks. Erden's evident surprise quickly fades as he returns the embrace. His longing for her is really obvious in the way he envelops her in his arms. Oh, go, lovebirds! I can now ship you two! The next day, Leticia wakes up wondering how she fell asleep and recalls crying like a baby on Erden's shoulder till she was exhausted. She then starts to worry that Bastian will scold her for being silly, and she's surprised to discover her fingers wrapped in bandages, wondering who did that to her. While she's still attempting to sort things out, she sees Erden asleep on the floor, holding a roll of bandages and scissors, hinting that he is responsible for the bandages on her fingers. But she still feels like she's in a dream, so she extends her hand to touch Erden to see if he's real. But to her surprise, Erden grabs her hand and pushes her to the floor while he's on top of her. They stare at each other for some time until they realize their awkward position, making Erden quickly let go and apologize for his actions. He then turns his back on her and reveals that when he was in the Dark Land, he was unable to let down his guard, even when he was sleeping. He also takes into account that it might take him some time to break the habit, which Leticia understands. After 7 hard years, Leticia knows they're both awkward with each other. Her heart is still pounding as she turns around to see Erden rocking a tight black suit that flaunts his muscles. He is buff! After Erden calms down, he apologizes again for what happened earlier and yesterday, reminding Leticia of their sweet embrace, which causes her to become flustered once more. Cutie. He then takes on a more serious tone, letting her know that he is surprised to see her in Halstead because he thought she had already left. Leticia thinks Erden hasn't changed at all as he begins to act like her #1 fan, his eyes becoming all sparkling as he praises her for her courage in defeating Karoks and their enemies without any casualties. Even though his appearance and voice have altered, she is relieved to see that his personality is unchanged. Aw, he left as a cinnamon roll and returned home as a cinnamon roll. I love it! Anyway, Erden then presents her with a full copy of the Great Book of Secrets, which was the primary objective of his journey. After taking a closer look at the book, she understands that Erden has been gone for 7 years solely to get it for her. Hence, she is eager to lend him a hand. Erden gently lifted her veil, revealing her eyes. However, a loud knock on the door cuts short their time, and a knight alerts him that the dragon is causing havoc again. Leticia is surprised to see the dragon, and Erden informs her that they found it around the Dark Land. They believe it would be easy to tame a baby dragon, but they don't know how to do it. Observing the dragon's reaction reminds her of a stray cat she once cared for, and she suspects that the dragon feels trapped. She then casually walks up to the dragon, causing Erden to freak out. But still, she decides to talk to it, but it doesn't work, as this dragon just uses its tail to scare her. However, her persistence refuses to allow her to quit, so she scans her surroundings and discovers cat grass. With great enthusiasm, she presents the cat grass to the dragon, and as if by magic, the dragon engages in play with her. So cute! She then instructs them to remove the cage while comforting the dragon, leaving everyone in awe. Letty just made her own fan club now. She also informs everyone that dragons are intelligent. If they're not harmed, they will not become hostile, which leaves Erden wondering how she managed it. He is not done gushing at his wife when Alexa comes up to them to report that they've captured one of the stone golem messenger birds traveling to Velosa, and she hands him the note. Erden reads the letter quickly, crumples it furiously, and announces that Velosa intends to attack their castle, prompting Leticia to wonder how they can attack after losing Karoks and the Centaurian. Erden believes that Velosa has the support of other devil lords and fears that the attack will take place in a week, leaving Leticia to weigh her options. Unexpectedly, she tells Erden that she will give him a gift in return for the book, the Velosa Castle, and she says it with confidence, surprising everyone. While caressing the dragon, she has an idea to make Erden soar into the sky. Ooh, Toothless with Erden will be epic! Leticia starts training the dragon using cat grass, trying to capture its attention while the grannies are attempting to put a saddle on its back. However, their attempts are consistently unsuccessful. Despite her commitment to Erden to tame the dragon, Leticia grows increasingly frustrated as she struggles to control it. Erden pays an unannounced visit after learning that she is skipping meals to work with the dragon. She informs him that they are having trouble placing the saddle on the dragon, as it always stretches its body when they try to put it on. However, their real issue is that the dragon appears to be so attached to her that it follows her around, ignoring everyone else, including Erden, making him so hurt. A softie. He then proposes that she try riding on the dragon's back, which surprises her. He goes on to explain that once the dragon becomes accustomed to her presence, it might be more open to allowing others to ride it as well. Initially, she shows some hesitation, but manages to succeed on her first try. Erden then hops on next, causing a slight reaction from the dragon, but nothing too aggressive. Erden then leaps off, declaring that they still have a problem, since if the dragon only lets him up when he is with her, he would have to take her to battle beside him, which she welcomes. As Leticia prepares to descend from the dragon, Erden kindly offers his assistance. However, this never escapes the dragon's jealous eyes, prompting it to move its tail and strike Erden in the foot. This causes Erden to lose his balance, leading Leticia to believe that if she allows him to assist her, they will ultimately fall to the ground, with Erden on top of her. Since everyone is watching them, she decides to let go of him, and they fall to the ground separately. When she looks into Erden's pained eyes, though, her actions seem like a bad choice. So she tries to talk to him, but he quickly makes an excuse about forgetting something he needs to do that day and abruptly leaves. He tries to console himself, reassuring that the incident is acceptable and there is no reason to feel let down since he had expected Leticia to push him away because who would ever like a monster like him? His thoughts become muddled, but they clear when Leticia reaches out and holds his hand, shedding tears as she reassures him that he is not a monster. She understands our precious boy so well. And yes, guys, no misunderstandings are allowed in this story. She breaks down into tears as she explains that she behaved that way earlier because she doesn't want them to be in an awkward position again, especially in front of Alexa and the other soldiers who are watching. She was only self-conscious, but she emphasizes that he doesn't scare her at all. Erden's surroundings become all fluffy again, and he drops to one knee before her, gently takes her hands in his, and begs her to repeat her words about not being afraid of him, to which she willingly complies. At that moment, Erden cries and realizes that her words have a profound impact on him, filling him with a sense of wholeness. Leticia, confused by Erden's response, clarifies that she simply wants to avoid embarrassing him in front of everyone, but then Erden gently reminds her that they're married since they are no longer minors. This causes her to pause and reflect, realizing that she may have unintentionally made things more awkward. He then compliments her for being a kind person and excuses himself to finish what he's working on. He admits that he's writing the divorce papers, causing her eyes to widen with amazement at what she just heard. He went on to express that now that she's become a confident, self-reliant woman with considerable wealth, he feels it's time for her to embark on a fresh start. This lowers her mood, since Erden always acts this way. Whenever she tries to get closer to him, he withdraws, and just as she believes they're getting closer, he's already preparing to leave. Still, she agrees, but on one condition: they will write their divorce papers after they conquer the Velosa, and for that expedition, she wants to go to the Velosa with him, leaving him with no other choice. My boy is just convinced that he's a nobody, that's all, so please tell him you don't want to divorce. The next morning at the spider tomb, the golems are chatting about what happened to Koroks and Centauria, saying that the great devil of Halstead wiped them all out. However, they also appreciate the support they receive from the other devil lords. Out of nowhere, a four-winged dragon soars above them, and Leticia makes an impressive queen entrance in her black jet armor outfit, with her crimson hair falling loose and her piercing expression. Oh wait, let's not forget her simp husband at the back, probably loving his view. The golems have succumbed to the myth that the Lord of Halstead entered into a deal with the great devil. She then clears her throat, and with a menacing glare and a frightening voice, declares her intention to take the Velosa castle while her husband is just there adoringly gazing at her, captivated by her cool yet powerful attitude. The way he is fanboying over his wife is so adorable. Leticia then smirks, inviting them to come to Velosa if they wish to fight her, and they take off, with her evil laughter resonating in the air. She's totally into her villainous character. Fearing they may be caught in the conflict, the foolish golems choose to flee the spider's tomb, and little do they know that the three grannies and the Halstead troops will soon be taking the location. Well, just a few hours before the mission started, our queen informed everyone that the stone golems would either withdraw to Velosa or just flee. So the Halstead soldiers would fill the spider's tomb and exploit it to their advantage when the battle with the Velosa starts. They have to hold their position until Erden enters Velosa's dungeon and retrieves their artifact, which everyone agrees on, including her cute dragon. Erden has a fantastic idea, but as a gentleman, he first asks her if she has a dragon name in mind. But since she hasn't, he offers that they name the dragon after the artifact that they'll be collecting at Velosa, which makes both her and the dragon delighted. For now, can I call him Toothless? After that, Erden's voice becomes serious as he wants to know why she's participating in the mission. And she just answers that she wants to know the truth. But in reality, she wants to stay by his side a bit longer to understand his true feelings for her. Erden warns her that the truth may be more terrifying than she can fathom, but Leticia grins and tells him that no matter how much she learns, nothing will change. Don't worry, she likes you because of how kind you are, even with your mask on. Anyway, Leticia and Erden arrive at Velosa Castle aboard their fearsome yet adorable dragon, prompting the golem guards to notify Lord Velosa. Leticia informs Velosa that the soldiers at the spider's tomb have already fled, and she presents him with a choice: surrender their artifact or face immediate death. Velosa trembles at the sight of them, but he is still enraged since Koroks is actually his son, which surprises our girl. But what's even more shocking is that after everything they've planned for this operation, this old guy falls to his knees and surrenders. He declares that he will give them the artifact and even escort them there. A promise that our girl is skeptical of, but they follow him to the location nonetheless. They've arrived, and after Velosa struggles to get the blue eyeball-like artifact, Erden demands he hand it over. Erden's knowledge of the artifact floods in as soon as he touches it, and he now knows its name is the Eye of Valhannas. However, it's too late for him to realize that this particular artifact has the ability to break all spells, which Velosa intends to use to his advantage. But while the artifact is in action, Erden manages to swing his sword and cut Velosa's head. Shortly after that, his mask comes off, revealing his cotton candy eyes. This is it, you guys. We will see Erden's face. However, upon noticing Leticia standing before him, he swiftly averts his gaze, frantically shouting that she shouldn't look at him. Leticia, who doesn't care if he's ugly and is genuinely worried that he's hurt, has no choice but to grab his face. However, as soon as she lays eyes on him, her eyes widen and fall to the ground. Erden becomes shy as he attempts to hide his face, but oh my, that face can light up the entire dungeon! A refined sculpture created from above and the most gorgeous slice of cinnamon bun that I could stare at for hours. Meanwhile, Leticia feels deceived because she has been told for years that he looks like a monster, making her question if he is actually her husband, causing Erden to lose confidence because he believes Leticia is disgusted with him. This caused Leticia to retract her comments and stops him from hiding his face, allowing her to stare at the most baby girl face I've seen. So the artifact was what finally broke the spell that made him so monstrous? Or were his good looks there all along? Erden removes her hand and understands if she's surprised to see his burned flesh, blisters and boils, as well as his hair loss, which confuses Leticia. So she cuts him off, stating that he is not hideous at all. However, as she attempts to reassure him further, her head begins to ache, and she collapses while hearing someone order her not to say anything further. She then witnesses a godlike being explain that Erden carries an ancient curse, and the being warns her that if she ever tells the truth, Erden will die, leading her to wake up gasping. However, her pain quickly passes when she looks at her gorgeous husband. After that, she attempts to recall what happened and is certain that the entity is warning her, which leads her to feel concerned about the Halstead's history. For the time being, she sets that aside as she needs to convince Erden that she is not afraid of him. She asks him to look into her eyes and see if he can detect any fear in them, leading the two to stare at each other for a long time until Erden believes her. Just then, a glass butterfly lands on his face, which Leticia had never heard of. So he explains that these creatures absorb powers from magical items and can then be used to make new magical items. Seeing one of these butterflies, though, makes him happy because he heard that they're almost extinct. Following the butterflies' trail, they discover hundreds of glass butterflies in cages, revealing that Velosa may have been collecting them to create magical items. After they set them free, Leticia is encircled by beautiful butterflies, and with a smile on her face, she offers Erden her hand, saying that they should also go home, making Erden blush and accept her hand. Leticia is such a girl crush, and her husband is such a baby girl. What a cute match! When they return home, Isaac, an old blind craftsman, goes to the Halstead treasury and retrieves the mask that Erden's father's statue is wearing. He gives it to Erden and requests that he wear it until he finishes creating a new mask. Erden then reveals to him that Leticia saw his face, which surprises the old man and wants to know how the lady reacted, leading Erden to timidly say that Leticia told him he isn't a monster. This makes Isaac admire Leticia even more, which is precisely how Erden feels, but he still intends to divorce her for her sake. Yet he can't help but hesitate now since he wants to see her beaming face for a long time. Meanwhile, Leticia reads a book in her room about how the devils are fascinated with beauty and are instantly drawn to beautiful things, which reminds her of Erden's lovely face. She can't help but swoon over his good looks, which makes her flush bright red and make her wonder whether she's developing feelings for him. Dear, you waited 7 years, so probably? Following that, Alexa visits Leticia in her room with a letter from the Wazen Castle, which Leticia promptly reads, discovering what seems to be an invitation to their upcoming ball. That evening, Leticia decides to knock on Erden's door, which surprises him and causes him to panic. But she has already entered before he could grab his mask. She is so blinded by his beauty that Erden assumes she is horrified by it, so he quickly hides his face, but she stops him and begs him to reveal his face to her when they're alone, a request he reluctantly complies with. After they settle down, Leticia tells Erden about the Wazen Castle invitation, and she finds out that the Wazens are devil hunters who haven't been very successful lately. The Halsteads have always fought without allies, but Erden considers that participating in high society would be beneficial since they may learn valuable information. He also believes the Wizen are trying to gather allies because they are threatened by the Grand Devil Duke Belair, who has been expanding his power, meaning that more devil hunters will attend the ball. Leticia worries that attending will be dangerous because having all of the devil hunters in one location makes them easy prey for the devils. But Erden smiles and assures her that there is no need to be concerned because the Wizen artifact can negate the power of all devils and beasts. After a few days, Erden and Leticia are on their way to the Wizens, but her mind is still focused on the fact that the Grand Devil Duke Belair is increasing his powers. So our honey bunch, Sugar Plum Erden, informs her that the Duke is running a lavish gambling house for devils named Crystal Palace. This grabs Leticia's interest, so she proposes that they visit that place. Our girl fears no one. This surprises Erden because it would be risky, but Leticia says that she finds it unsettling that the Duke Wizen is holding a ball during such dangerous times, and she is unsure why the Wizens would suddenly invite them. Leticia points out that the devils are expanding but haven't harmed humans. They've even built a gambling house. This causes Erden to question the whole situation, and he realizes that since the Crystal Palace opened, devil hunting has decreased, and the Wizens, who have always fought the devils, have become inactive, leading him to believe that there must be a connection between the two. It's raining when they get to the wasteland, and after a while, a carriage with a coach devil appears and casually asks them to board, as if he already knows they're heading to the Crystal Palace. The devil then comes to a halt at a lake with a large dead tree in the center, which puzzles Leticia and Erden because the location does not appear to be particularly fancy, which the devil hears and guesses it's their first visit. He says that all they have to do is walk on the lake until they reach the tree to see the Crystal Palace, and then he goes away. Leticia decides to try it, and to her surprise, she can walk on the water while Erden follows her. However, when they reach the tree, they are unable to see any signs leading to the gambling house, until Leticia looks down and notices that there is no reflection. Suddenly, she falls into the lake, causing her to panic until Erden grabs her shoulder and she realizes that she is not wet. Surrounded by a beautiful starry sky, they come to the realization that they're actually on the opposite side of the lake. However, what truly amazes them is the magical and grand sight of the Crystal Palace. At the entrance, the two notice a rich-looking cat beast yelling because her instant camera, which serves as an entrance fee, is stated to be no more valuable than the other guests' stuff, such as the chocolate bar and the plastic bottle he refers to as the glass that never breaks. Where is this place? I'd gladly give you all of my trash, just make me rich. Leticia chooses to join in on their chat, proposing that if she demonstrates how the Polaroid works, they will allow the cat couple and them to enter. She takes their photo and shows them the film, which amazes everyone, especially her husband. The pig guard unlocks the door, and they are surprised to find not just beasts, but even humans gambling inside. After being awed by her knowledge, the pig extends an invitation to the VIP room, where they discover an even darker and more expansive aura. Erden warns her in a whisper that the area is packed with greater devils, whose gazes give her goosebumps. However, when they overhear the devils discussing Wizen, they decide to sit nearby and listen in. Wizen appears to have formed a business deal with the devils, and as she suspected, the banquet is a trap for the Halsteads. Can we acknowledge how smart Letty is for not trusting Wizen? She's really cool. It looks like Belair, owner of the Crystal Palace, is so devoted to his business that he intends to cause problems for the Halsteads. Not by war, as that would hinder his business, but by wrecking their castle while they are away. They then continue to discuss how collaborating with Duke Wizen has helped their business thrive. But what draws Letty's interest is when they mention how bothersome it is that Velosa was taken over by the Halsteads, when the most reliable door is there, and how they need to take that place because the route leads to the east, where they have customers. One devil asks Belair about his trusting humans, particularly Wizen, but this charming grand devil with silver hair and a tan complexion, just how I like them, smirks and proclaims that he simply trusts Wizen's greed. See? Evil, yet I fear I'll begin to love yet another wicked guy. Anyway, after hearing enough, the lovebirds decide to depart, but Erden panics and wants to hurry back to Halstead to protect their people, until Leticia quickly explains that she has already taken preparations and he does not need to worry. Well, it isn't about what she did, but who she entrusted with the task of guarding their castle. Who else? Meet Valhannes, our adorable, magnificent dragon who is more than prepared to take down any monsters threatening their castle. Now that they are certain Halstead is safe, they decide to continue attending the banquet in order to avoid appearing suspicious, and to learn more about this human-devil partnership going on. I must say, their timing for eavesdropping was just perfect. As soon as they arrive at the Wyzen Castle and their names are announced, the nobles pay close attention to our power couple wearing their couple masks with their matching outfits. After a quick greeting, Duke Wyzen departs, prompting Erden to take action by tailing him. However, as soon as Erden leaves Letty's side, she becomes overwhelmed by the nobles mumbling about whether she looks horrible under her mask. Out of nowhere, someone runs into her, drops their drink on purpose, and even has the gall to take off her mask. Alright, that's unnecessary! Erden, we need you! I can't believe our girl is now on her knees as she listens to these nasty humans gushing over her beauty and how she should wed another man. Just when she thinks she has a decent friend in a noble woman, she grabs her face, smiles wickedly, and offers to match her with a suitable man. Even going so far as to say that she's healthy to have children, particularly sons. This is disgusting. Leticia is sick of hearing this crap and gets everyone to hear that she won't stand for it when they insult the second master of the Halstead, and how they keep mentioning marriage despite the fact that she's already married. I would have slapped this lady already, but Letty chooses to be very demure when she declares that she is proud that the Halsteads lead the fight against devils in the north. So instead of gossiping behind her back, she is prepared to listen to anyone who has questions about her family. The party continues, and the whispers change to, "Wow, she's arrogant," or "She has nothing but a pretty face," or "The monster Lord Erden must have bewitched her," blah blah blah. But Leticia doesn't care because she has no plans to ever let go of Halstead, especially the man in front of her, her husband. They dance lovingly together, disregarding the onlookers, until Erden pulls her closer, sending our girl fluttering. Unaware of his effect on her, he mutters something about witnessing the Duke descend the dungeon. Erden leads Leticia into the dungeon, and she's clearly frustrated because she wants to dance with him for a little longer. But when they get there, they're taken aback when they overhear Duke Wyzen discussing a scheme to capture her. Letty is shocked. However, Erden's expression, even with his mask on, is already obvious. That Duke is going to get whooped. Belair appears to be on the other end of this magical communication device thingy, informing the Duke that his soldiers were wiped out by a dragon, with only a few survivors returning with the dragon's message that anyone who messes with Halstead will be burned to death. While Mommy Letty and Daddy Erden are moved by how big boy their little Valhannes has become. Look at their reactions! Proud parent moments, cuties! Anyway, Belair tells Wyzen to bring Leticia to their side so that they can reclaim the Velosa from her, or else their business will fail. When Wyzen leaves the room, Letty and Erden hastily hide, and my girl here is taken aback when she realizes that her hand is firmly resting on her husband's chest. No worries, dear. I would have done the same thing. They then decide to enter the room and see the powerful artifact of the Wyzen Castle. So Erden uses his abilities to check it out and discovers that it is known as the Shield of St. Lucius, and it can destroy all devils and magical powers. But the artifact is now running out of power. It can only function correctly when there's a sacred will driving it, which was never an issue before because the Wyzens were so dedicated to hunting devils. But now that Wyzen has been tainted, the shield's power is declining. Not only is this an issue within the Wyzen family, but it has the potential to destroy the entire northern defense line. The couple begins to consider how to deal with Wyzen and Belair, and as you already know, our girl knows exactly what to do. Leticia meets Duke Wyzen on a balcony and immediately informs him that she is aware of the Crystal Palace due to her background as a businesswoman. What surprises the Duke is Letty's revelation that she knows he's been investing and collaborating with the Grand Devil Belair to manage the Crystal Palace business. She goes on to question directly if he's been getting his fair portion of the sales, since he is a businessman. But since he is a businessman, she figures that wouldn't be enough. So she suggests they collaborate. Letty and her manipulation tactics again. Love it. Leticia persistently lures Duke Wyzen, asserting that she can offer him as much as Belair does. And she also tells him that their dragon matches the strength of the artifact he possesses. To add to everything, she asserts her knowledge of the otherworld civilization with confidence, which the devils call the superior civilization. This revelation shocks the Duke, as she possesses knowledge of a superior civilization known only to a select few high-ranking devils. Then, Leticia bursts into laughter as she explains that if someone assaults and steals from another, they face trial at the temple. But if they do the same to devils, it's admirable. leading the Duke to realize that Leticia's wickedness mirrors that of the devil's. Consequently, when she offers her hand to him, he takes it without hesitation. The first step has been completed, but beyond that, Letty is at a loss on what to do. Inside her room, Leticia is determined to fight Belair, knowing that Belair's only goal is money. She starts her research with optimism, but anxiety sets in when she struggles to uncover a strategy to tackle Belair. She rests her head on the table, notices her unfinished book, and resolves to read it again. To her delight, she uncovers the topic, the crack of the dimension that holds all the information she needs. She encounters the word door and remembers the devils discussing the door in Velosa. But what really captures her curiosity is the passage that states that you can order anything from the door as long as you know its name. This causes her to flinch, prompting her to rush to Velosa with her baby boy Valhannes. Soon after, she's in front of a door at Velosa, but she remains uncertain about how to open it until she discovers a Korean inscription indicating that a password is required. She remembers a well-known Korean phrase and casually says, "Open sesame," prompting the door to crack and open before her. Really classic. Now time to put it to the test. She takes a deep breath and screams, "Iced Americano!" with all her strength, only to be met with utter silence, causing her to think she's fooling herself. Suddenly, her iced Americano arrives and she bursts into tears of joy. Oh my gosh, this is literally the best cheat in a novel world, and that order is relatable. After finally drinking that precious caffeine, Letty continues to read the book and discovers that the door cannot summon living creatures, which is a pity because she's dying to hold a cat right now. Speaking of cats, there are devil creatures in the north called sand cats, which prompts her to come up with an idea. Whatever it is, I'm excited. She then quickly holds an urgent meeting the next day and announces war on the Grand Devil, to which they respond negatively because they clearly cannot afford to wage war right now due to the lack of weapons and forces. Who says war can only be a bloodbath? Letty presents them with the weapon they'll need in this war, a modern-day cat snack. They go to Velosa, and while people from this world may have to wait until the door gives something, our girl has no problem ordering anything because she knows the product's name. So she orders a huge box of cat snacks, which confuses everyone. But she goes on to inform them that thanks to Wizen, they now have a restaurant near the Crystal Palace. They set up their restaurant right away, and while Casaro is skeptical that the sand cats will ever like her food, Leticia assures her that their secret ingredient is something those creatures cannot resist. They quickly attract their first customers, who are enchanted by the aroma of the stew despite its horrifying appearance. They give it a try, and sure enough, these cats devour it, emptying their bowls in record time. They then chose to leave quickly to get to the Crystal Palace and spread the word about their fantastic restaurant, which is exactly what Leticia wants. She had the option to order destructive weapons, but no, she says, "I'ma win this without violence." That's my girl. As expected, the restaurant experienced a surge in customers on the second day of opening. Customers choose to make reservations for the following day. By the fourth day, the sand cats are so excited to try the food that they struggle to get reservations. On the fifth day, the restaurant's full booking prevents some customers from entering, which irritates them. In just 6 days, they have ripped off so much money, and finally, Leticia decides to temporarily close the restaurant to provoke Belair on the 7th day. They are now back home, and Alexa discovers that Belair, the demon of wealth, disguises himself as a young male human who conquered the Aeron castle, renovating it into the Diamond Castle, which he uses as his personal residence. He is pretentious, extravagant, and narcissistic, but he has one of the highest ranks among Grand Devils. Well, their booming business should be enough to provoke Belair, so for now, Letty plans to strengthen their defense in Velosa, and to do that, she decides to use the hatchery of stone golems in the Velosa dungeon. Letty and Erden enter the dungeon, and as described in the book, they place golem life stones in the hatchery, allowing the water to boil before adding stones. After a moment of observing the muddy water, a hand emerges, leading Erden to enter the water, only to find a baby golem crying in his arms. The adorable golem starts crawling and calls our pair Mama and Dada. They missed a few steps, yet they're already parents of 2. Letty has no problem with this, but she asks the baby golem if he can call them my lord like everyone else. So this adorable baby agrees to. But just when I thought there was just one, a swarm of lovely golems begin to emerge from the water. And that's how our couple became the first humans to ever tame an evil race. The cuteness is too much for me. This turned their house into a nursery, so Erden contacted his warrior friends from the Dark Land to help out with babysitting, so Leticia could concentrate on getting their restaurant back open. Just a house husband taking care of the kids while the wife goes off to work. Cuties. Our girl is now at the restaurant when she comes across two sand cats outside, hoping that the business is open today. Letty promptly uses her sales skills by informing them that they will open tomorrow, and as loyal clients, she offers them the special privilege of preserving their seats tomorrow in exchange for spreading the word about their opening to everyone. While the restaurant is busily reopening, the Crystal Palace goes deserted, confusing Belair. After his pig butler tells him it's due to the new restaurant, he decides to sneak in while wearing that crop top, asking Letty if she's the owner with a nice smile. No, not her! Me! Take me! In any case, after Letty confirms that she is the restaurant owner, Belair proceeds to kidnap her by putting her in a sack and casually carrying her on his shoulder. Despite Bastian's best efforts, she is helpless against a grand devil, who causes her to fall to the floor as Belair uses a magical door to escape. Meanwhile, Erden is currently babysitting at home and finalizing the paperwork for his divorce, based on his belief that Leticia deserves better treatment than what she receives from him in Halstead. Here we go again with these papers. Sir, why not focus on your growing family instead? Suddenly, Alexa bursts into his office to break the terrible news that Leticia has been abducted, and Bastian feels terrible about not being able to save her. Our best boy promptly hugs his granny, thankful that she's okay but regretting not divorcing Letty before the disaster happened. Belair takes Letty to the Diamond Castle, and as soon as he takes her out of the sack, he is attacked directly in the eyes by Letty's poking skills. I know this is supposed to be serious, but these two are making me laugh. After the pig butler figures out that the restaurant owner isn't a devil but a human, Belair rushes up to her and tries to control her by staring her in the eyes. As Belair demands that she reveal her feelings for him, Letty freezes in her tracks, terrified and totally powerless. The Grand Devil then raises her chin as if enticing her, and there she says it. She blurts it out that he is ugly. Oh my, she just flat out trash talked him. Belair's jaw drops in confusion, so he tries to seduce her again with his looks, but sorry, handsome devil. But for our girl, you still look unattractive because her idea of beauty is now comparable to Erden's ethereal charms. Girl is so in love and I totally get it. Belair is irritated right now, but he decides to stop wasting time and simply ask Letty to give him the recipe for her stew. The sand cats are the key to his business success because they're obsessed with whatever the latest trends are. So Belair offers to buy Letty's recipe for 10,000 denias, but our girl simply sips her tea and declines. This is the most chillest kidnapping ever! Our adorable butler then expresses his opinions and compliments Letty on how amazing a human she is, which does not sit well with Belair. So he threatens to change his contract to become one of the human servants he keeps in his palace. This intrigues Letty because she had no idea that devils could form contracts with one another. But her thoughts are interrupted when they are startled by an uproar outside. Baby Val has arrived, and his daddy looks extra handsome and fierce on his back. Forgive me for simping to the Grand Devil earlier, but I'm back now. Erden has truly raised the game. Now time to save Mama. Val let out a dragging cry as he perched on one of the castle spires, but the monsters were quick to throw rope to pull him down. Of course, our masked daddy will not allow this, so he deals with them and cuts the ropes. After that, they survey the surroundings and notice Letty and Belair talking in the distance. Things between Belair and Leticia take a serious turn when Belair realizes that the girl he abducted is actually the second master of the Halsteads. Letty questions the sweet pig butler about the terms of his contract with Belair, and she discovers that because he's a minor evil creature, he just does what his master asks of him and receives no benefits or insurance in return. She then carries the plushy-looking squeezable butler and offers him work with a fair wage and benefits, which this piggy greatly appreciates. But this is cut short when Belair bursts out laughing, explaining that devils bound by contract are strictly unbreakable, or if they do, they must face a trial at the Superior Court of Devils. I don't know what to say about Belair, but he appears like a jealous master trying to snatch Piggy from Letty, who is refusing to let go, while Val, who is watching, is also starting to feel jealous since his mommy is clutching onto the pig. Such a mama's boy! and them fighting over the pig is so unexpected. Belair is able to take back his piggy like a little child, whereas Letty accidentally steals the piggy's magic pouch. Belair then grabs Letty's hand, causing Val to become upset and start spewing fire into the castle. Letty then decides to step onto the castle's edge, declaring to Belair that if he's ready to talk like a businessman, he should come visit her, before jumping out of the flaming castle with a smile. Red really suits her. She's so cool. Erden quickly saves her from falling, which makes Letty happy because she had trust that he would while he hugs her so tightly. When they get home, the grannies swiftly give Letty the huggies, leaving the baby golems to wonder what happened. Erden crouches down and begins to baby talk, explaining that a devil tried to harm their mommy, which startles the babies and drives them to get so enraged that they all wind up becoming adult golems since rage boosts their growth. Oh, no more baby tushies! But on the bright side, they now have an army! That evening, Erden presents Letty with the divorce papers and expresses regret for not acting sooner, as he believes it would have prevented her kidnapping. He then explains that once she signs, they will be officially divorced and she'll be free to leave Halstead. Letty glances at her husband's face and realizes that the reason he stopped hesitating to remove his mask is because he wanted to constantly remind her that he's hideous. But she can't tell him that he's cursed. Instead, she uses their growing family, their business, and the devil hunting as reasons they can't divorce just yet. When she sheepishly suggests that she will remain by his side so that nothing horrible happens to her, he can't help but be smitten. Afterwards, she asks that they postpone the divorce until the deal with Belair, which Erden agreed to, and Letty wasted little time in placing the divorce papers in the magic pouch. After they reached an agreement, Erden stooped down to her level and with cotton candy eyes pleaded with her to keep her word and remain near him, which makes our girl flush. My dear parents, please kiss already! A long time ago, there was a farmer who was concerned that he wouldn't be able to provide a harvest for the Duke due to drought. If the farmer failed to provide produce, the Duke threatened to let devils raid his village, so he agreed to a little mouse's condition of stealing crops from neighboring fields in exchange for the farmer selling his soul to him. It was successful, but after a few months, the farmer received the dreadful news that the neighboring village had been wiped out by devils since they could not provide any goods, including his daughter, who married someone from that village. The farmer became an alcoholic and began abusing his family, which frightened his wife, who eventually agreed to a snake on the condition that he kill her husband in exchange for her soul. As a result, their crops withered after her husband died, which concerned the daughter, prompting Belair to appear in his human form and promise to save her family in exchange for her soul, unaware that this devil was the mouse and the snake, manipulating her entire family. Okay, this backstory has made me realize that I should quit simping merely because of their looks. But maybe I can fix him? No. Anyway, let's go back to the present. Belair is now at the Wizen Castle, ranting at the Duke for allowing the Halsteads to conduct business in their area, prompting the double agent Duke to kneel and explain that he had no knowledge they were Halsteads at all. Belair isn't amused by all of this, driving him to grip the Duke's face with that wicked expression. But thankfully, the castle's artifact prevents him from using his powers. Belair then orders Piggy to form a team to watch over Velosa while smirking because he's determined to play along because he knows he'll win in the end. And that includes taking Letty's soul. Back to the Halsteads. As the pair has decided to stick together, Alexa arranges their schedules while Bastian prepares their new shared bedroom. Letty and Erden feel embarrassed about sharing a bed, while Bastian appears to be fine with it. You know why? Because Granny prepared a bunk bed for the married couple. Yes, instead of a typical huge bed where the main characters may fall in love with one another, this is a bunk bed. These grannies still treat them like children, don't they? Despite this setup, the two couldn't stop blushing and couldn't sleep that night. Okay, thanks to their cuteness, I've calmed down. The next day, Duke Wizen goes to Halstead to report that Belair is sending a party to Velosa. But he gets surprised when Erden informs him that he does not need to worry because there are stone golems guarding the location. He couldn't believe our couple could tame such creatures, which makes him even more curious about what else Letty has in her hands. Today, the sand cats have swarmed outside their restaurant, clamoring for some stew, and as soon as Letty opens the door, the cats start bickering over who should be fed first. One cat is so desperate that he's willing to give up all of his money. But they are stunned when Letty declares that they would no longer accept Aeneas as payment, but rather their contracts. Just that night, Letty questions Erden about his knowledge of contracts between devils and evil creatures, and she discovers that these contracts have no physical form but exist as a type of magical power. Devils and evil creatures can entice humans, take their souls, and even bind them as a form of entertainment and competition. Therefore, even the most insignificant evil creature could be granted the title of devil once they have enough contracts. So Belair was once a mouse and has since evolved into a grand devil? How many humans did he manipulate to achieve that? Regardless, unlike how these evils deceive humans into giving their souls, the contracts between devils and evil creatures are written in real contracts. They use this to force the weaker beings to follow them, allowing them to rule the human souls that their minion had taken up to that point. And that late-night talk prompted Letty to devise a strategy for collecting these contracts. Back at the restaurant, Letty explains that they can pay with the souls they've taken, aka their precious contracts. All they have to do is materialize their contracts into coins, and for each coin, they will receive a bowl of stew, pushing everyone to follow her instructions. And just like that, Letty's restaurant collects hundreds of coins that day. And because these coins are virtual assets generated by their business, they cannot be forged or copied. Wait, did Letty just create her own cryptocurrency or what? Regardless, this means she now has hundreds of contracts that no devil can break, not even Belair. Speaking of Belair, he is taken aback when he learns that Velosa has a large number of stone golems, and marvels that Erden makes them all obey him. Belair's objective is to conquer Velosa first, but he is aware that while the golems are dumb, they are physically strong, which frustrates him. After some thought, he chooses to confront Letty head-on. Quick as a flash, Belair, dressed in his dashing gold suit, shows up before Letty and Erden. Letty welcomes the Grand Devil, prompting Belair to approach her with a smile before being prevented by Erden's demand not to touch his wife. This is a conversation between business owners, thus Belair asks him to let him speak, while Letty thinks that Erden is overprotective, considering that he lost his parents to devils. She walks over to Erden, clutches his hand, and apologizes for causing discomfort to him. She advises that he wait outside, which crushes her husband's frail heart. Erden refuses and reminds her of their promise, making Letty blush because, even with his mask on, she can see him pleading like a bunny. Belair cuts short their cute moment and announces his desire to take over her business and begin showing off his beauty. But Erden interrupts and warns him again, prompting Belair to become annoyed. Belair intends to seduce Letty, but he is unable to do so since Erden keeps interfering. So he becomes curious as to what Erden is thinking. But when he tries to enter his thoughts, he's surprised to discover that Erden is cursing and threatening him not to stare at his wife. The two continue to talk mentally, with Belair mocking Erden and claiming that he has no choice but to stare at Letty because they need to talk about business. But our jealous and protective husband demands that he simply cover his eyes. The lack of seriousness when they interact with Belair is really something. After that, the three of them head to the restaurant, and Belair is astounded at how much the Sandcats enjoyed the stew. He then looks at the menu and becomes curious about the coin payment, prompting Leticia to smile and announce that their business is now using a new currency. She explains that deniers is a currency created and used by humans, but because devils also use it, the currency's worth has decreased. So she created a new currency with a value exclusive to devils, which Belair thinks is very clever. Now that Letty caught Belair's curiosity, she starts to look exhausted, claiming that an ordinary human will be unable to operate such a vast business, and that a devil would be more suited to the task. She then explains that a number of devils are already interested in her new currency, which causes Belair to worry, while Letty just goes on to explain that her new coin now has a value of 50 deniers as of this morning. However, Belair finds this absurd, as he believes that one coin cannot cost that much. So he rummages inside his magic pouch and retrieves a scale. Letty is surprised by Belair's small pouch, so Erden explains that devils call it inventory, and that it is a portable storage device that can hold anything. Letty is even more amazed that this bag can actually send and receive objects. Now that she thinks about it, she has the piggy's pouch, which, if it operates the same way, functions as a bank account of sorts. Anyway, back to Belair. He shows them the scale he built himself and explains to them that it can determine the true value of any item placed on it. Without wasting any time, he placed one coin on the scale, expecting it to cost no more than 10 deniers. But to his disbelief, it is now not worth 50 but 500 deniers. To explain what happened, Letty informs him that their business refused to accept coins after their issuance date, implying that their coins have limited resources. And the fact that Belair, the devil of wealth, appeared in their restaurant in front of everyone increased the coin's value. Belair is so stunned and flustered that his influence raises the value of the currency, while Letty reminds him that there will be an interest for exchanging coins back to Danaeus because they too need to earn a profit. Belair believes this is where Letty's scam begins, expecting the interest to be extremely high. But to his amazement, the exchange fee for one coin is only 5 PLs. 100 PLs equals 1 Danaeus. Therefore, the exchange rate is extremely low. So Belair does not waste time to sign a contract and converts his single coin to Danaeus. After seeing how great their new currency is, Letty asks if he wants to take over the coin market. But as a businessman, this devil understands that he needs to wait for the coin value to drop before buying all of it. So he pretends to be uninterested, as Letty had predicted. To be honest, the mind game isn't really registering in my brain, and I'd rather have a kaboom fight over this. Now that the business talk is over, Belair informs Letty that her husband is quite jealous, which surprises her. The devil takes advantage of this opportunity to entice her by asking if she wants to know what Erden is thinking for an affordable price. Girl, he wants your soul, so get it together! Fortunately, Letty did not fall for it, and Erden shows up as well, throwing the receipt in Belair's face and demanding that he leave immediately. This devil sounds irritated, like a third wheel. But before he leaves, he gives Erden a short warning that his fate, which is already tied with devils, will remain forever. Does he know about Erden's curse? After a few days, just as the restaurant is about to close, Mr. Adorable Piggy Butler arrives, stating that he really wants to eat her stew but does not have a contract to give. So he asks if he may buy coins from her. Letty completes the transaction immediately since she knows Piggy will give Belair the coin. As expected, Piggy brings the coin to his master, who quickly weighs it and sees that the coin's worth has decreased to 340 Danaeus. Still, he decides to wait till it drops more, but just a few days later, the coin value climbs to 1,004 Danaeus as the other devils begin to invest in the coin market as well. At the very moment it falls to 1,003 Danaeus, he swiftly leaves to purchase all of the coins. Just know that this devil will hit the floor hard. Meanwhile, in the Halstead castle, our adorkable Duke is squatting and thanking his friends for their cooperation. But the truth is that he is really dismayed because Letty begs him to leave her alone in their room for an hour. Well, not because our girl has grown tired of him, but because she needs to find the divorce papers she stashed in the inventory pouch. Yet to be honest, she is pleased that they're gone. Suddenly, Erden knocks and timidly wants to know if she needs more time and if he has been a nuisance recently. Letty firmly denies this and says that she actually enjoys spending time with him. Don't stop there, girl! Tell him you don't want to get divorced! Both of them take a minute to process what she just said, and Erden looks adorable as he begins to blush so hard, prompting him to immediately conceal his face with his mask. Casaro enters the room to break the awkward silence and announces that Belair has bought all of the coins. When they arrive at the restaurant, Belair has already embraced the entire sack of coins and instructed Piggy to send the payment to Letty, which is comparable to transferring all of the Danaeus in his inventory. To transfer the money, our girl simply confirms that she has an inventory pouch, which happens to be the one she took from Piggy. Piggy creates the document, and with the pouch's stamp, the payment is promptly transferred to Letty's pouch. At which point, Piggy realizes his lost pouch is in Letty's hand. In any case, the true scam is about to hit Belair when Letty announces that the interest rate for converting one coin has jumped from 5 PLs to 1,000 Danaeus. Letty presents him their contract, and it is never indicated that they cannot raise the interest, forcing Belair to eventually lose it and attack as he demands she drop the amount. Obviously, Erden blocks the blow, and Letty celebrates with a smile on her face, knowing that Belair is helpless in the face of such a contract, which the devils are known to strictly adhere to. For Letty's final attack, she informs him that she will no longer sell stew with coins, but rather with 1 Danaeus, meaning that the coin is now useless and Mr. Devil is broke as hell. But wait, there's more. Erden's warrior friends enter, claiming to be from a demon lending company and eager to lend Belair some. As if this demon hadn't learned his lesson, he promptly accepted a contract with them. At Belair's castle the following day, Erden's men, posing as representatives from the Devil's Financial Security Institute, tricked this miserable devil once again. They told him that since the Piggy's inventory pouch had been stolen, Letty might be able to access his own wealth in his inventory. Because his brain is malfunctioning, the devil, who has never lost anything to do with money, agrees to give the finance team his inventory pouch for protection. Genius. With this, the money they lent him through the fake lending company has been returned to them. Immediately following that, the grannies wearing specs stormed his castle, claiming to be representatives of the lending company. They proceed to seize all of his possessions, claiming that he is now incapable of returning the money as agreed upon in their contract, which he had neglected to read. Belair appears completely defeated as Letty and Erden show up looking triumphant. Letty scammed him so badly that I'm beginning to feel sorry for him. In the heat of his anger, Belair takes on his actual form, complete with horns and fangs. Girl was right, he is ugly. Nevertheless, Belair can't raise a finger at Letty because it is specified in their contract that he will not be able to harm her. Letty then presents the contract that he signed with the lending firm, which states that all of his assets, including the humans and devils that work for him, are now free, allowing the shackles around the workers' necks, even Piggy's, to finally break open. Yay! The only option for Belair to reverse his defeat and terminate the contract is to have Letty judged in the Supreme Devil's Court. They arrive in an eerie-looking court of the devils in an instant, where Letty, who holds tightly onto her emotional support Piggy, is questioned by the council. When they ask Letty if it is true that she scammed Belair, leading him to go bankrupt, she firmly responds yes, and states that all of the contracts that led to these frauds were signed with Belair. Following this, the council begins praising Letty and laughing at how evil she is, all the while insulting Belair and removing his title as Grand Devil. That completely backfired on him, and now even the devils approve of Letty's wickedness. Letty is now back, indicating that they won the fight against Belair. Suddenly, the jewels in Belair's castle float into her inventory pouch, implying that the entire treasure and castle are now theirs. One of Belair's human slaves, now free, steps up and informs them that the castle's original name is Serenes, before bowing in gratitude for freeing her and the castle's residents. However, as their original bodies have vanished and become trapped within the castle, she and the others start to fade away, all while maintaining a smile on their faces. The word that the Halsteads have become extremely wealthy after defeating a Grand Devil spread throughout the north. With their wealth, Letty ensures that everyone receives their bonuses, with Bastian purchasing a ballista, Casaro purchasing a sailboat, while Alexa didn't buy anything for herself. That's great news, because our best boy here actually bought something for Alexa, which is the ring she sold previously to help the Halstead family with their financial struggles. Erden appears to have been keeping watch of it for quite some time, and has finally decided to purchase it now that they have the money. Aw, he really loves his grannies. Letty tells Erden that she misplaced the divorce paperwork that night, and he cracks a smile and says it will take time to prepare a new one. Letty no longer wants to discuss the matter, and since they now have separate rooms, she suggests that she should leave, but Erden musters the courage to ask her to stay a little longer. He then kneels before her, and as the clock strikes midnight, he gives her a necklace and the first one to wish her a happy birthday. Sir, you can also add I love you to that. One normal day, the grannies tell Leticia a story about Erden and his childhood best friend Hans, a stable boy who aspired to be a warrior alongside Erden. Hans was never terrified of Erden, and he even promised to lift his curse someday. Oh, who is this little cutie? Second lead? The next villain? Anyway, thanks to Hans, who said that Erden could be a popular character in a story because he seemed mysterious, our small, adorable boy's confidence grew. For some reason, Leticia can't help but wonder what happened to Hans, but her question changes the mood in the room, leading her to feel that something horrible must have happened. But no, nothing happened, and Hans simply became a royal stable keeper in the capital. I was about to assume he died or something, but then they gave us the most realistic ending ever. The following day, their reception area is packed with nobility eager to meet with Leticia after hearing rumors of their impending divorce. They even assure Erden that they can send the best lawyer he wants, but all they get in return is Erden's menacing presence, ordering all of them to leave at once. Meanwhile, Leticia is in the garden reading and tearing up all of the proposals she receives because, duh, these nobles are already like her uncles. She genuinely wants to stay in Halstead, and she knows there is no husband like Erden who will fully support her in everything she does. Suddenly, Erden shows up and is having conflicting thoughts about divorcing her. He knows it's risky to remain by her side, yet he still wants to tell her how he feels. So he caresses her cheeks and is about to confess. until Belair emerges and begs Leticia to accept him as her familiar. Seeing this dummy makes me happy, but how dare he cut off the much-anticipated confession? Familiars are demon servants who only obey their masters and are lesser than low-ranking devils. Thus, Letty gets confused as to why Belair is doing this, prompting Belair to explain that he is a worthless devil who only pretends to be great, and he wishes to learn what it is to be a true evil alongside her. However, our girl simply refuses, claiming that she is no longer into scamming because she is now young and rich. Such a flex! Moreover, all of the people in their castle have lost loved ones to devils, so Letty has no reason to welcome him. Yet, she does advise him to reflect on his deeds before seeking a job. As time passes on, rumors begin to circulate regarding Belair's involvement in cleaning up the murky stream outside their castle and his nighttime street patrols. Even today, when they receive a report of a fire on the mountain range, Letty and Erden are surprised to discover that it has already been put out by Belair, who then boasts that he will be honest and do good things in the future in order to become Letty's familiar. Why is he becoming kinda adorable, though? This causes Leticia to contemplate taking him if he continues to do a good job, which makes Erden jealous because a contract between a master and familiar is inscribed between souls. But his vow with Letty can be undone with a few pages of divorce papers. Now that he thinks about it, Belair will become more important to Letty, which makes him uneasy and drives him to confess even more. Even though he knows his competitors on Leticia are lurking at every corner, Erden can't stop worrying about what might happen after he confesses his feelings. Just then, the person he's been thinking about all day comes knocking on his door. Leticia looks lovely in her nightgown, wearing the necklace Erden gave her, while our guy here can't help but blush as he looks at his gorgeous wife. It's late at night, so he questions what brought her to his room when his tummy starts growling, making him feel embarrassed, while Letty simply gives him a sweet grin and suggests they raid the kitchen. As they stroll through the hallway, Erden, wearing only a cloak instead of his mask, walks next to Letty, who gently guides him ahead by holding his hand. Even in the shadows, Letty radiates a radiance that captivates him, leaving him totally enchanted. The eyes, Chico, they never lie. He's really becoming more and more in love with her. They are now in the kitchen eating desserts, which prompts Letty to question why he is still awake so late. When she discovers that Erden has been thinking about something, she takes the flour from the cake and suggests that if he's having difficulty deciding between two options, he can simply use the petal-pulling game. He grabs one flower for himself and, like a literal angel, pulls each petal, mentally asking himself whether he should proceed with the divorce or not. And this petal plucking does help him because it gives a no to divorce answer. And to end the night, Letty lovingly offers him a slice of cake, which he accepts with a joyful smile. That slow burn love. I want it too. The next day, they receive word that because Belair's gambling house has been shut down and may no longer sell stew, the devils have resumed assaulting people, causing Letty to become concerned that winning the fight with Belair has caused more harm to the people. Alexa proposes to Letty that she use Belair to her advantage, and this demon, who oddly appears to be younger, is so obedient that he starts to convince the others that they should stop harming humans, because his madam can't focus on conquering the entire continent, which of course is a lie. Just a few days later, the information that the demon attack situation has improved prompts Letty to commend Belair for his assistance, which causes Erden to get concerned. So he decides to make himself helpful as well. He combats the drought by using Val to water the crops, and he ensures that when Letty needs something, he is there to provide it. Letty has noticed him working extremely hard over the last few days, while her small bean hubby is simply desperate to prove himself as a good husband. No need at all. You are already perfect as is. Today, everyone is taken aback when they see how spotless their castle hall is. And it is not Erden, but Belair who turned into a tiny kid who did it. Oh dear, he's adorable. Belair reveals that he shrinks due to his good behavior, but he is not concerned, since if Letty accepts him as her familiar, he will revert to his normal form. This makes Letty wonder if he can lift other devils' curse after he becomes her familiar. But she discovers that it depends on the curse. To determine what curse has been placed on someone, they need to check the curse registry in the Library of Infinity, and no, it is not a place, but an item. According to Belair, the item in question belongs to Mephistel, the Grand Devil of Arrogance, who is currently posing as the Saint Vestia of Abados. Later that night, Letty brings up the subject with Erden and suggests that they help Abados as the locals are completely oblivious that they're already worshipping a devil. Erden, however, avoids looking at her while expressing his fear of putting her in danger again. I'm sure they'll help since we need that item thingy to break his curse. Today, the pair decide to make their way to Serenus to find the castle artifact. And according to what Erden read from the record, the first master of the Serenus castle was an ancestor of the Halsteads. They continue looking around until Letty notices that the sculpted wall behind Erden appears to be wings, prompting her to investigate the ground, where they discover sword-like markings. Erden identifies the shape as that of the Halstead family's first treasured sword, and while the original is no longer with them, they have the replica in the family vault. They instantly go home to get it, return to Serenus, and place the sword on the marking, causing a door to open. In the center, they notice a statue of a robed figure with two pairs of wings carrying the artifact they're looking for. Erden finds out it's an item that can let you disguise yourself, which Letty sees as useful for sneaking into Abados. Erden, on the other hand, declares that he believes Mephisto would be too much to handle. His priority now is her safety, so he apologizes for declining to help Abados. They're back home, and Letty decides to browse the Great Book of Secrets, where she comes across an image of the sword that seems identical to the replica they used. The passage is difficult to comprehend since it's so old, but she reads that the sword is so powerful that it can shatter mountains and even tear apart time and space. However, her reading session is cut short when she overhears a ruckus outside. The nobles appear to have not given up on speaking with her, prompting Erden to step up again and threaten to kick them out if they continue to cause an uproar. However, the nobility appear desperate and want to know why their divorce is taking so long, prompting them to mumble that Erden is chaining Leticia because she brought prosperity to Halstead. Wow, just because Erden is too young doesn't mean these gramps can say whatever they want. Like, duh, he's a duke. Their relentless trash-talking finally got to Erden, so he finally breaks the news that they're never getting a divorce. You guys hear that? I'm actually behind him saying, heck yeah! Leticia, looking so adorable, appears to have malfunctioned after hearing him say it, while nobles continue to accuse Erden of keeping Letty for the good fortune she provides. This only makes Letty more furious, so she finally speaks out for herself, telling everyone to be mindful about what they say. But the nobles express concern that she should not live with a monster lord for the rest of her life. She is aware that no matter how she explains that she wants to stay in Halstead, these gramps would not believe her because they feel Erden tricked her into staying. So she decides to take advantage of this situation. She reminds everyone how much they have benefited from Halstead's protection, and then she informs them about the situation in Abados and the Grand Devil Mephisto, prompting the nobles to begin discussing it because they have also heard that Abados has been approaching nearby villages to spread their religion. Her strategy is working. So Letty continues and tells everyone that it will only be a matter of time before the Grand Devil invades their estates. While clutching Erden's hand, she declares that she must stay with the Halsteads and hopes everyone understands why. Everyone falls silent, aware that Letty's cunning tactics have solidified the Halstead forces, and they all leave, wishing them luck in defeating Abados. Those leeches! After that, she takes a brief glance at Erden, feeling guilty because she used the chance to ensure that he would be unable to reject helping Abados. But she has no choice as she truly wants to lift his curse. Now that they're alone, Letty can't help but cry as she asks Erden if they're truly not getting divorced, prompting Erden to hurriedly embrace her in his arms. He then states that the nobles are merely looking to take advantage of her greatness, and he promises she will never marry any of them. He then connects their foreheads as he swears to always be by her side, protecting her, while Letty promises the same, which confuses Erden, but she merely grins and says it is a secret. Your curse, Erden, she will lift that curse so you can show off your gorgeous angelic face to those gramps. Anyway, I'm happy they won't be divorcing, but they really need to confess already. The next day, as preparation for their journey to Abados, Letty visits Velosa to pick up a few items from the door that can aid her in their safety. Please tell me you guys get firearms! After that, they gather for a meeting in which Letty orders the grannies to wait outside Abados while she and Erden investigate the location first. And she ends her speech by promising to show everyone, particularly those awaiting their divorce, that the Halsteads are capable of protecting not only the North, but also the entire continent. We'll see them in action again. Let's go! Erden and Letty leave on their journey 2 days later, but Letty can't take her eyes off her husband's striking new hairstyle. Not only that, but thanks to Serena's disguise artifact, this is her first time seeing him barefaced in broad daylight. His beauty is blessing me. Suddenly, they hear screams and witness a young lady being attacked by an evil beast. But thankfully, Erden instantly cuts the creature's arms. I like it when he gets serious. However, to their disbelief, instead of praising them, those who see this accuse them of disrupting their so-called ritual sacrifice. Afterwards, more beasts show up, and everyone starts to think Saint Vestia sent them to get rid of the lady. Erden then insists that Leticia escape immediately, but Letty refuses, explaining that they must remain close for the disguise artifact to be effective. Out of nowhere, beasts start charging, and our girl gets to unleash her inner baddie persona by grabbing her rifle and blasting the beast square in the skull. Holy moly, look at that pose! I knew it. She's too cunning not to bring a gun to this medieval world. I love her. If I'm impressed by how cool she is, imagine how blown away Erden is now. Look at his blushing face. He's fallen again. As Letty gives him the order, he steps back and watches as she uses her gun to snipe each beast. As a result, believers flee to inform Saint Vestia, while Erden can't help but simp at how awesome she is. If my husband does not react like he does, I do not need one. He is really cute. Anyway, it appears that the lady they saved is Lord Mazel's daughter, and they escort her back to the castle. If you're wondering what they look like in disguise, our pair resembles ordinary villagers, so Lord Mazel is startled that they rescued his daughter, but he still lets them stay the night in their castle. As they eat their dinner, our couple learns that the Mazel family is a merchant family. Thus, when Abados opened their doors for trade, they expected it to benefit them. However, because Abados prohibits trading with non-believers, the Mazel family decided to pretend to believe in Tablito, the sacred slate of Saint Vestia, on which a divine message is said to appear. But nothing has appeared as of yet, because they claim the believers' faith is lacking. Worse, Tablito believers must take turns providing offerings to the beasts every month, and this month is Mazel's turn. Speaking of that offering, because Mazel's daughter is still alive, the believers are causing a scene outside their castle, prompting our girl to come up with a plan to save the Mazels. As soon as they open the castle door, Erden acts as if he is shoulder-choking Lord Mazel, while Leticia, who is so into her character, points her gun at the believers and declares that they will not let anybody take Mazel since he owes them money. The believers eventually quiet down, prompting Letty to announce herself as a member of the wealthiest family, Halstead, and an owner of a guild-running business. She then smiles, knowing that Abados has opened their gates since they need supplies to survive, and she claims to want to help them. Now in Abados, Horace, the estate's knight, enters St. Vestia's chamber to inform her that a business owner from Halstead wishes to discuss business with her. Letty and Erden then bow as they greet this fake saint, and Letty explains to her that they will not only want to do business with her, but they also want to learn more about Abados, so she hopes the saint will allow them to join the believers. Vestia appears to be a pure saint as she praises them, but her tone shifts when she says that because they had killed her so-called holy beasts, they must first go through a ritual to determine whether they are ready to join their religion. As soon as she says that, Letty's vision switches to what she fears the most, a fiery place where people label her witch and want to burn her. She believes it's only an illusion, but the fear consumes her till she wakes up crying thanks to Erden calling her. She continues to shiver in fear while Erden assures her that she is safe with him and gives her a hug. Why do they look so extra romantic here? After she calms down, they discover they were locked up somewhere prior to the ritual. After experiencing the hallucination, Erden believes that Mephisto uses it to instill terror in people before convincing them that they are under her protection, causing them to adhere to religion. Letty thinks they need to break the people's faith, but Erden is unsure how since he is not religious, prompting Letty to question if he has somebody he admires instead. Our bashful boy looks away, admitting that it is her, and just as he is about to continue with his confession, Belair interrupts him once again. Goodness gracious, let them have their moment! Belair should be grateful that he looks adorable given that he is currently as small as a mouse, otherwise Erden may have killed him. Anyway, Letty holds little Belair in her palm and declares her plan to become a religious leader to take on Vestia. That night, the believers come together for Letty and Erden's joining ceremony, and Vestia declares that they will receive divine judgment using the divine slate, which is actually a modern-day iPad. Oh my gosh! She then summons our couple to the stage and allows them to confess their sins, which Letty gratefully accepts as she uses the chance to address the crowd and explain that the gods have sent her to deliver a sacred message. Erden hands her the iPad, and as Letty raises it, she secretly clicks the power button, hoping that the battery hasn't died yet. And yes, luck is on her side as the tablet has now turned on, shocking Vestia and the believers. And to make things even more dramatic, they take off their disguises, revealing our power couple's menacing aura to everyone. Erden rocks an all-black suit as usual, but that white and blue outfit of Leticia is a game changer. I got goosebumps! Meanwhile, Little Belair is using his remaining power to make wind for some suspense. Our queen then says, "Hey Siri," in Korean, prompting Siri to respond, leaving everyone in awe of the divine language. After that, Letty dares Vestia to understand the divine language if she's a real saint before speaking in Korean again, this time asking for the weather. The iPad responds in Korean, while Vestia remains speechless. If you guys are confused about why and how there's Wi-Fi, just pretend it's magic. Now that it's out of the way, Letty casts doubt on the people's faith by suggesting that Vestia might be a con artist, which causes everyone to look on Vestia with contempt. Everyone begins calling her a liar, prompting Vestia to lose control and morph into the real Mephisto, a demon with wings. She immediately returns to her human shape before the people notice she is a beast, but Letty smirks, letting her know she knows who she truly is. She really knows how to tease her enemies. This causes Vestia to panic, and she decides to quickly leave, while Erden advises that they depart as well. Horus assists them in entering a secret passage, and it appears that he is one of Erden's father's friends from an expedition they went on together. However, Horus draws his sword and demands to know why they have come to Abados. Erden discloses that Vestia is not a saint, prompting Horus to lower his guard and admit that he too already knew it. But he is startled to learn that Vestia is not only a low-class demon, but a grand devil. Horus begs the two to help them, and our power couple reassures him that they have come to assist. But Letty requests that Horus cooperate as well. It was already morning in the Abados castle, and Vestia can't sleep as she is anxious as to why a human could speak the tablet's language. Worse, her human body is beginning to deteriorate as people's faith in her wavers. Oh, okay, that's good to see. Meanwhile, Letty and Erden return to Mazel Castle without their disguises, and Letty informs them about their plan to assemble their own believers in order to prove that the Tableto religion is fake. Lord Mazel smiles at them and, in gratitude for saving his daughter, offers to assist them in any way he can. When evening comes, Mazel arranges a room for them with one single bed. Letty is stunned, but when she turns to Erden, she notices that our angel innocent boy is panicking and sweating heavily. Considering Erden's personality, Letty expects that he will beg to sleep on the floor. However, Erden softly asks if he may use the bed instead, his lips trembling with shyness. Am I reading this right? Our sweet and shy boy has really taken the initiative? My heart can't take the cuteness. Although Letty is surprised, she quickly agrees to let him sleep on the bed and suggests that she take the floor instead. Erden then promptly clarifies that he wants them to share the bed, leaving Letty blushing and surprised by his boldness. However, neither of them can fall asleep, as they are highly aware of each other's movements, which prompts Erden to suggest he will sleep on the floor, believing he's the reason Letty cannot sleep. Letty then reveals her fear that the illusion Mephisto showed her will continue to haunt her dreams. In response, Erden gently holds her hand and assures her not to worry. He will wake her if she appears to have a nightmare. Letty used to wake up from nightmares all alone, but now she feels comforted knowing Erden will be there for her. With tears in her eyes, she asks about his fears, and he quietly admits he's afraid of losing her. He pulls her into a warm hug, but pulls away too fast because of his pus. And honestly, it just makes her hate that curse even more. The next day, knowing that the Library of Infinity has all the information in the world, Letty opens the iPad to check on it, but it runs out of battery, and she discovers that it requires magic power to function. So she quickly calls Belair, who's caught off guard when Letty orders him to show his tail, but seeing how serious she is, he obeys, revealing a shimmering heart-shaped tail. Letty then plugs his tail to the iPad, and in an instant, the device begins to charge with magical energy, exciting Letty, while Bel-Air feels quite the opposite. After some time, Letty opens the iPad, navigates to the Devil's Network, and successfully completes the sign-up process, achieving the rank of Devil. Bel-Air then explains the hierarchy within the Devil community, which includes the ranks of Evil Creature, Evil Beast, Evil Species, Devil, Grand Devil, and Devil King. Now that Leticia holds the rank of Devil, she can access all information available to Devils and those ranked below her. However, since Mephisto is a Grand Devil, Leticia cannot access any information about her. Leticia then asks Siri how she can boost her rank to become a Grand Devil, and she learns that she needs to increase her power level through the Devil's Network Game Association. She quickly browses the App Store and discovers a flashy religion maker, which she decides to try out. Suddenly, a screen appears before her, and the app greets her, asking her to name her religion. However, she realizes that she can only see the screen in front of her, leading her to silently contemplate a name for her religion. Maybe the Red Flame? To her surprise, the app instantly accepts it and can't be changed. The app then inquires whether she wants to evangelize Erden, so she asks Erden to be her believer, earning a significant amount of holy power points. Only then does she understand that accumulating more points will expedite her promotion to the Grand Devil rank, allowing her to uncover Mephisto's weaknesses. However, Erden worries that if Leticia rises to the Grand Devil rank, the Devil Council will summon her for evaluation and grant her the title, making her a real Grand Devil. Ooh, Angel Erden and Devil Letty would be so cool! Erden warns Letty not to be deceived by Bel-Air's cunning trick, suspecting that Bel-Air's true intention is to regain his power by turning her into a Grand Devil. This leads Leticia to confront Bel-Air, who quickly admits that the accusation is true. However, he explains that even if Leticia gains enough power to become the Grand Devil, she must fulfill a few additional requirements. First, her soul must be impure. Second, she will need to sacrifice her body and flesh. After Bel-Air leaves, Erden voices his disapproval and suggests finding another way. Letty reassures him that nothing can corrupt her soul, and hopes they will continue protecting each other's souls together. Everyone in the Mazel castle becomes a believer in Letty's religion, which enhances her holy power and allows her to perform miracles. The screen then displays various icons, and she taps the star icon. In an instant, she appears before a lost traveler and assures him that the Red Flame welcomes everybody, inviting him to rest at their place, causing the man to cry in relief, calling her a saint. The next day, in Abados, the traveler announces that a red-haired saint has come to help the poor and weak, prompting the people to decide to go with him, while Mephisto wonders what kind of devil is attempting to invade her territory. That day, Letty and Erden were discussing how to convert all the believers of Tabledo to the Red Flame, but they needed additional information and did not have access to Mephisto's data. While browsing on the iPad, Letty eventually discovers a real-time chat room of the Mephisto family, which would allow them to learn about their schedule and anticipate their next moves. In the chat room, everyone is discussing the upcoming accusation against the fabric dealer, Dio, for allegedly insulting Vestia, which is obviously not true. Letty smiles as she shares her plans to escalate the drama surrounding the false accusation, which excites Erden to join in. Then, people gather in front of Mazel Castle, all astonished to see our fierce lady surrounded by flames, and everyone calls her Saint Leticia. She then reveals to everyone that the fabric dealer Dio will face false accusations of insulting Saint Vestia that day, prompting various reactions from the crowd. Letty asserts that Dio is innocent and states that Vestia simply wishes to construct a new summer house on her property. The people then decide to hurry and inform Dio about the situation before it escalates. But before they leave, they all give her small tokens to express their gratitude for helping them, increasing her holy power. Everyone gathers before Vestia, who accuses the fabric dealer, Dio, of insulting her, claiming it's equivalent to an insult against their god. She then declares that the holy beast will consume Dio's body and flesh as a means of redemption and purification, in accordance with their religious rules. Just in time, the Red Flame believers intervene, revealing that Vestia is lying and that Dio is actually innocent, leading Vestia to flinch. Suddenly, Valhannes appears with Letty, both radiating undeniable power. Vestia is filled with fury as she hears the crowd calling for Saint Leticia. who advises her to confess that she's a fraud and urges her to leave Abados immediately, which only deepens Vestia's frustration. This prompts Leticia to start live streaming, intending to expose Vestia's true identity. But to succeed, she needs the crowd's trust and pleads for everyone to support her with their hearts and faith. Afterward, the flying hearts are overflowing for Letty, prompting Vestia to encourage her followers to show their faith in her. This whole drama is just too funny. Since a few still believe in Vestia, Letty includes Halstead in the livestream to gain more support. She then reveals that Vestia is actually the grand devil of arrogance, Mephistel, and that the so-called holy beast is an evil creature. This shocking revelation stirs various reactions from the crowd, and as a result, Letty's holy power increases. Meanwhile, the system alerts her that if Mephistel's power falls below 10,000, she will be able to disarm her. Actually, Vestia's disguise relies solely on the faith of the people, so the distrust right now is making her so furious that she calls upon all her beasts, ordering them to punish the traitors, instilling fear in the crowd. Erden cuts down every beast that approaches, prompting Mephistel to urgently turn to Captain Horus, demanding that he attack immediately. To her surprise, Captain Horus boldly declares that they will put an end to Vestia's atrocities and commands all the knights to follow the Masters of Halstead. As a result, Mephistel's power drops, and the iPad beeps to indicate that Letty has just acquired the power equivalent to the authority of a grand devil. Erden spots Letty on the ground and rushes to her side, asking what's wrong and pleading with her to look at him. Suddenly, Belair appears, wrapping his arms around Letty from behind with an evil smile, reminding her playfully that he had warned her. Once you're entangled with a devil, there's no way out. Letty finds herself in a hellish place, but the flame does not harm her. A creepy, massive red eye attempts to woo her by claiming that the power of devils will make her unstoppable. And while disguised as Erden, it promises that she will have whatever she wants. She nearly succumbs until she feels the real Erden's hand, its warmth pulling her back to clarity. Regaining herself, she faces the devil, declaring that she's entered this world with nothing but flesh and blood and will leave it just the same. And that's fine with her because she'll embrace every moment and love without holding back. The devil threatens to crush everything and drown her in despair, but Letty just smirks and challenges it instead, which only amuses it. Her spirit breaks the illusion, and she wakes up with her devil horns disappearing while Belair shrinks again. He tells Mephistel to stop pretending and show her true self so the killing can begin, when Valhannes suddenly shows up and toasts Mephistel. Good dragon! Now go ahead and burn Belair too! This forces Mephistel to transform into her true form, but her wings are gone thanks to our good boy. Everyone is shocked, but more angered that Vestia is a fraudster, prompting Letty to admit that she isn't a saint either. Well, pretending to be one is the only way she can help them, so she hopes that this time they will protect their own beliefs. Mephistel calls Letty a mere human, but she fires back just as sharply, calling Mephistel a mere devil. She argues that humans endure hardship to find happiness, while devils deceive and consume souls for an easy existence. So yeah, she confidently declares humans far stronger and greater. Her words resonate with the crowd, and they begin to see it too. Mephistel's power drops to its lowest, leading to her disqualification and summoning before the Superior Devil Committee. The people celebrate their victory, and Horus asks Letty and Erden to rule Abados, as it is also the people's wish, so our couple agrees to accept. Later, they discover the castle artifact, the Hymn of Fontium, a holy flowing fountain capable of defeating devils. Maybe it can lift Erden's curse too, so Letty asks him to take off his clothes. Yes! Chill! Still being the very obedient husband, Erden follows her, but shyly asks her to look away because the pus on his body looks unpleasant. He steps into the fountain, while Letty, of course, can't resist sneaking a peek and is stunned by how handsome he looks. Sadly, the holy water still doesn't work on his curves. Hashtag sad but blessed. When they return to Halstead, Letty reads the Great Book of Secrets again and learns about the Sword of Limbo, a weapon possessed by the first ancestor of the Halsteads that had vanished, and it looks to be related to the curse. Interestingly, it can even be searched on the iPad, revealing it's feared by devils and currently held by Grand Devil Duke Asterode. She calls Bel-Air, and Mephistel appears in male form as well. Okay, handsome but evil, so nope. Mephistel vows he can be trusted, whereas Bel-Air claims he has learned that tricks do not work on her, so he will behave, which gives Leticia a headache. But for now, she wants to know more about Asterode. She learns from them that Asterode has vanished, and rumors say that he's still recovering from the wounds he sustained during the War of Dawn. This is the battle between devils and humans for dominance of the North, with humans led by the man wielding the sword, and devils commanded by Grand Devil Duke Asterode. It was a lengthy war, and after 100 years, the Great Sage helped sweep away the devils. Okay, so to tie it all together, Letty discovers that the human leader was the Halstead's first ancestor, and they had assistance from the Great Sage, so she intends to dig deeper to uncover more information about the family curse. One evening, Erden burns all the letters pushing for their divorce as the pressure grows more persistent, driven by fears of Halstead rising into a great house. This piques Letty's curiosity, and she learns of an ancient law. Once a family owns more than 5 castles, it becomes a great house, and divorce is prohibited to maintain estate stability. The revelation makes her scream because this is exactly what they need to stop their divorce. She declares she wants to become a Grand Master, but looks like Erden is hesitating. Frustrated, Letty breaks down in tears, calling him mean and begging him to be honest about his feelings. She ends up confessing she loves him and wants to grow old together, even hitting him out of frustration for always mentioning divorce. Erden takes her hand, crying, and asks how she could love someone like him. Letty promises to lift his curse and begs him to stay, and finally he gives in, promising to be with her forever. And yes, they kiss. I know I'm not the only one screaming right now. Thank goodness Letty made the move. Ever since that night, the grannies notice Letty and Erden acting awkward and avoiding each other, though they know they can't keep this up if it affects their work. Erden, Mr. Shy Husband, apologizes, prompting Letty to slam the table and insists she actually liked it. Erden, embarrassed, claims his pus must have touched her lips, and Letty almost says he isn't ugly, but is abruptly silenced by excruciating pain at her neck. Then she sees a terrifying devil behind Erden. Long white hair, creepy red eyes, straight up warning her that Erden will perish if she tells the truth. Gosh, this image gives me goosebumps. Letty awakens in her bed, trembling from the terrifying vision, and Erden guesses she is acting this way because he's so disgusting. She quickly turns to him, wanting to remove his insecurities, but she swiftly closes her mouth. She can only respond that revealing him the truth would endanger him, and he realizes that she is aware of his curse. When he discovers she knew about it while they were in Velosa, he rushes to hug her, unable to believe she's been carrying this burden for so long. Now that it's out, they can finally work together to lift the curse. Letty explains the devil she just saw in the Sword of Limbo, currently held by Asterode, a vanished Grand Devil Duke. Erden has never heard the name, but something feels off because his full name is Erden Astar Lohene El Halstead. The link makes him suspect the devil is connected to his curse, and for the first time, he feels real hope that Letty might be able to free him. He quietly imagines a future where they remain together forever, and the thought makes him so happy. It's painful to realize his curse doesn't just affect his body. It has also twisted his mind into believing he's unworthy of love. Anyway, according to the iPad search, Asterode ruled over the Necropolis region, which is home to a large number of devils. According to Mephistel and Bel-Air, Castle Heath, which is near the Necropolis, is also full of demons. But Lucifer, the grand devil that rules the palace, never welcomes poor devils. This shows that there is tension between the two areas, which Leticia intends to exploit by using these two devils to her advantage. She entices the two by promising that if they perform well, she will hire them full-time. The new scheme involves establishing a business called Hell Life, which sells health, beauty, and home care items. The artifact Himofontium is holy water that's fatal to devils, right? She plans on using the water to produce their products, and once the devils in Heath and Necropolis have consumed it and become weak, they will be able to launch a surprise attack. Mephistel appears in Heath in her lady form, dressed head to toe in luxury, confusing the devils who expected her to be demoted. She announces she's now selling products, and the business will open a branch in Heath. With Lucifer doing nothing to revive the economy and just sleeping, she tells them they can get rich by joining Hell Life. She explains they only need an initial investment, and since they don't have money, credit is fine to be paid back once they start earning from selling products. A full-on pyramid scheme. The devils immediately take the bait and start fighting over the Hell Life products, which finally puts Letty at ease. Do you guys know what she's good at aside from business? Just look at her proud expression as she says it. Fraud! That's my scamming queen! The next step is to create anxiety, and that's where little Bel Air comes in. He proudly declares he's a diamond rank member of Hell Life and the manager of the Necropolis branch, which immediately alarms the devils. A new branch means more competition, so they rush to buy even more products to stay ahead. Seizing the moment, Letty has all of Hell Life's earnings sent straight to Lucifer, and bam! She shuts the business down. Just like that, the devils are left furious, realizing they've been completely scammed. Lucifer awakens confused and furious because the yelling devils surrounding his castle have interrupted his sleep. He doesn't care about the money they're talking about and just tells his soldiers to sweep all the devils away. But he is shocked to discover that his soldiers are all down. His hamster aide says that it's because of the products of Hell Life. And ta-da! To save him from more confusion, our beautiful fraudster Letty appears riding Valhanus. She has done her study and knows that Lucifer is Asteroid's loyal servant who used to benefit from his success, but now simply sleeps away his days. Lucifer believes Letty is here to demote him, as she did with the other Grand Devils, but she actually arrives to convince him to become her familiar. Lucy laughs at first, but when Letty mentions she can revive Grand Devil Asteroid, he's thrown off. He never heard of Asteroid returning. He quickly falls silent, realizing he just revealed something important. He clearly still has ties and knowledge that could lead to Asteroid's whereabouts. According to Bel Air, Lucifer is the devil of indolence. Basically the devil of laziness, so when Asteroid, his most powerful shield, vanished, he slept and simply waited for Asteroid to return. Back in the present, the famed devil hunter of the north, Count Wyzen, arrives with his knights at Letty's request. Lucy is given a choice: become Letty's familiar and help revive Asteroid, or let Wyzen take his castle and strip him of his Grand Devil title. Claiming it's all for Asteroid, Lucy chooses not to resist and kneels in submission. Letty presents a long contract, and a magical chain binds them both, sealing the deal. Bel Air and Mephisto burst into tears, feeling betrayed that Lucifer became her familiar so easily. But Letty doesn't even flinch. She casually points out that a Grand Devil is far more useful than two demoted ones. Savage! Lucifer, surprisingly obedient, settles into his new role almost too well, making breakfast and tea for Letty, accompanying her on rounds through their territories, and acting like a loyal little puppy whenever he's called. Today, Letty and Erden want to learn more about Lucy, but this devil just smirks because he knows they just want to know about Asteroid through him. Letty is aware that Lucy has been in contact with Asteroid, which he does not deny, but he adds that their connection is limited because he can only communicate with Asteroid's thoughts in the Hall of Wretched Souls. It is a realm where all the lost souls' thoughts gather, which is why Lucy sleeps to visit the hall and speak with Asteroid, but he has no idea where his body is. Letty wants to go to the hall and speak with Asteroid, so she instructs Lucy to arrange the appointment. Lucy obeys again, but his continued obedience is causing concern for Letty. I feel the same. Count Wyzen visits Letty to thank her for the funds she sent, but also informs her that owning 5 estates doesn't automatically make her a Grand Lord. She must still go through numerous formal processes, including attending a luncheon with His Majesty, gathering public testimonials, proving her qualifications, and doing a sacred bow at the temple, where a truth spell will force her to answer all questions honestly. Erden invites Letty on a quiet moon-watching date, and they ride their adorable Valhanus while admiring their land together. He opens up about how lonely and difficult life used to be, until she came into his world like a spring and changed everything. Letty promises to lift his curse, but Erden just kisses her forehead and tells her she already saved him the day they got married. Their little blushy smiles are too cute to handle. The following day, a palace-appointed lady arrives to assist them in completing the requirements necessary to become Grand Lords. What's more unexpected is that they must go to the capital immediately. During the trip, the lady introduces herself as Allison and informs them that they would be staying at the Dewsbury Mansion near the Empress's palace, which astounds Letty because the mansion is reputed to be spectacular. To her dismay, she discovers that Duke Dewswell no longer lives there and has gotten on the Emperor's bad side by pocketing public money. Actually, before leaving, Alexa tells Letty to be cautious when meeting the Emperor, and Alexa's troubled expression lingers on our girl's mind, so she resolves to do everything it takes to get on the Emperor's good side. Alexa clearly knows something. When they arrive at the Dewsbury Mansion, Letty is amazed by how luxurious it is, since while she used to live in the capital, her uncle's mansion was on the outskirts, so it is nothing like this. Now that she thinks about it, her uncle's family must still live in the capital. But, nah, we don't care. Anyway, Allison lays out their schedule tomorrow and says they will be attending Duchess Sabrath's luncheon, which surprises Letty since the Sabrath Guild is regarded to be the wealthiest guild in the capital, and receiving an invitation from the Duchess is extremely tough. Though not a grand ball, it will serve as their official debut into high society, where every move must be flawless because nobles will either view them as allies or threats. It's hilarious how they're trembling like scared little babies, as if they don't literally hunt devils for a living. Cuties. Apparently, in the capital, married couples don't share rooms? Weird. Letty's all alone and missing home, but Erden sneaks in because he misses her too. And she's like, "Just stay, I don't care about the rules." He shyly asks if she's sure, but Girl is already knocked out, so he just kisses her cheek goodnight like the softie he is. The next morning is hectic, but worth it. Erden in that black, kinda revealing suit? Perfect! And Letty? She's glowing in that off-shoulder dress with her hair down. They arrive at the party and everyone's staring, which makes Letty nervous. But one little reassurance from Erden and she's okay again. But her aunt and cousin shows up and starts being nasty, making her freeze until Erden steps in with his cold tone, asking if they're done talking. The Grey family looks terrified of Erden, and when the aunt says, "I'm glad you're taking good care of our Leticia," it immediately ticks him off. Like, how can they act like family after practically selling her off like cattle? The aunt responds that they care about Letty, and you can feel Letty wanting to clap back, but nope, she goes classy instead. She smiles and thanks them for sending her to Halstead because that's how she met Erden. Then she adds that she just wanted to show her gratitude now, since once they're Grand Lords, they'll be way too busy to ever visit them. She and Erden then take their leave, offering polite well wishes, leaving Auntie completely humiliated. Elegant mic drop. Good job, darling! They sneak off to a maze garden so Letty can scream her frustrations away, and she feels better right away. I'm proud of our girl because, unlike me, she doesn't want to comfort herself by acting superior because it will make her look like them. Although she is still traumatized, she states that she will not seek revenge, which causes Erden to reflect on how he attempted to teach the Greys a lesson, whereas Letty is much wiser. Letty thanks him sincerely, smiling as she admits that even if neither her past nor future favors her, it doesn't matter as long as she has him. In response, Erden removes his mask and kisses her. But they are soon interrupted by the butler announcing the start of the luncheon. Their battlefields. Letty pouts, saying she'd rather fight devils, drawing a soft laugh from Erden as they walk out hand in hand. They are so wonderfully drawn. I love it so much. At the luncheon, Erden can't even eat because of the mask, and people start whispering like, he must be ugly or something. But our guy here is unbothered. He just reassures Letty and keeps chatting with her like nothing's happening, making the rest of the table stiff and uncomfortable. From afar, Duchess Sabrath observes them with an amused smile. Afterward, the ladies go to the tea room and the men head outside. Letty finds herself alone, but then Duchess Sabrath walks up to her and praises how strong and composed she is. The Duchess appreciates Letty's ability to stay calm and not worry about others' opinions. The Duchess expresses her understanding, sharing that she has experienced similar hardships after losing her parents at a young age. As she gently pats Letty's shoulder, she reassures her that she is always welcome to visit if she ever needs to talk about anything. The day ends and Letty finally rests, but suddenly she feels her body grow heavy, unaware that a demon is creeping in. Lucifera appears just in time, destroys it instantly, and wakes her with a warning. A nightmare demon has been following her. Also, Lucy in that cute little nightgown? I fear he's slowly winning me over. He didn't sense anything unusual within the mansion, leading him to suspect that the demon followed her from Sabreth's estate. It's possible the creature simply trailed her, but there's also a chance someone deliberately sent it after Letty. This makes her wonder if Asterode could be behind it, which Lucy believes is possible. Letty asks if she can now go to the Hall of Wretched Souls, which makes Lucy curious about why she speaks of it as if it's not dangerous. Still bound to obey her, he creates a magic circle to keep her safe while they're in the Hall of the Wretched. Before they enter, however, he stops to explain something important. All beings are made up of 3 elements: the body, the soul, and the mind. To transfer Letty to the hall, he must remove her mind from the other 2 elements, and the longer she stays there, the more her mind will become detached from her body and soul. Everyone in the hall has lost their souls and bodies, and they are all hungry for new bodies, so there's a high risk it will enter hers, which is why he created a magic circle to guard her body from any invasion. Sounds really kind of him, which is extremely suspicious. But he says that she has no reason to fret because if she is in danger, he would be in danger as well. So he holds out his hand and asks her to trust him. Just like that, her mind separates from her body, and wow! As if little Lucifera isn't already winning me over, his adult form just sealed the deal completely. Ugh, why are these evil men so fine? Anyway, they're now in front of a huge, ominous door, and when Lucy asks if she's ready, our girl clocks in. The subspace is giving dark and gloomy vibes with all these castles just floating around. And then there's Asterode's palace, looking kinda simple and plain? Like, our girl expects more drama from it, but okay. The door opens, and the room is just so dark with Asterode sitting on a throne-like chair facing forward. Even from behind, just a glimpse of him is enough to leave Letty's entire body numb. When Asterode asks who she is, tears begin to fall as she struggles to answer, stuttering that she's from Halstead. As he questions whether she's come because of the curse, Lucifera abruptly slams the door shut. Their time has run out, and other entities have already begun to notice her presence. Letty safely returns to her body, and Lucifera finally learns why Letty wants to revive Asterode: to lift the curse placed on Erden. He explains that there are only 2 ways to break a curse. Either the devil who cast it removes it, or that devil is killed. He adds that Asterode's consciousness is not always in the hall, meaning his physical body must exist somewhere else. However, he says that it is nearly impossible to locate, urging Letty to give up the search. Any guesses, everyone, on where Asterode could be hiding? The next day, Erden hands Letty a request form for dissolution of adoption, stating that now that she's an adult, she may dissolve ties with House Grey. He's unclear if she likes what he did, so he attempts to explain further that dealing with it while in the capital would be a good idea. And to his surprise, she runs to hug him, tears in her eyes, grateful for what he has done. Allison is thrown into full panic when they receive an unexpected invitation from the Empress. The Empress is well known for her fondness for discussing current affairs and intellectual matters, and it is customary at these gatherings for guests to bring children with them, whether their own or not, as part of her belief in passing knowledge down to future generations. Well, it's not a problem at all since they have Lucifera, who can pose as a scholar supported by our couple. The 3 arrive at the Empress's mansion in their matching outfits, and Letty can't help but be amazed by the charisma the Empress radiates, even while just sitting down. The Empress brings up an interesting topic for discussion. Why do devils exist in this world? Count Wyzen responds thoughtfully, explaining that God created devils to test humans and help nurture their good hearts. The Empress appears unimpressed by his response, so she excitedly turns to Letty, who openly disapproves of the Count's response and argues that devils were created by humans. This sparks revolt among the nobles, yet Letty presses on, insisting that humanity embodies both good and evil, claiming that devils emerged from the evil side of humans. One child is intrigued about angels, and the Empress teaches her that there are myths claiming that the imperial family is descended from angels, but who knows? The Empress then asks Letty one final question. Is she a good person? Letty, seeing the Empress is clearly interested, decides to stir the pot a little, so she smiles and claims that she is neither good or evil. She's a good fraudster. Yup, loud and proud. Letty explains to the Empress that their accomplishments in Halstead were made possible through what she calls her fraud, deceiving devils in order to help the people. Because of this, she questions whether her actions make her good or evil. She adds that as long as humans exist, devils will continue to exist as well, though she believes humans are still capable of overcoming them through the goodness of their hearts. Before the discussion can continue, the bell rings, signaling the end of the allotted time. The Empress thanks Letty for her active participation, and everyone bows as she and her scholars leave. But as they exit, Lucifera lingers with a glance in their direction as if something feels off. Letty quickly covers her face in Erden's suit since she is embarrassed by what she did, prompting him to convince her that she actually looked cool. Plus, the nobles now look at them positively. Lucifera tries to catch Letty's attention by informing her that he sensed another devil and believes it was Astrode. However, he can no longer sense him, implying that he has already left. And surprise, surprise, the Empress was the only one who left the room. There's a chance that someone else left, so she asks Erden, but our guy here appears oddly surprised before approaching a lady who he calls Mother. Just like them, Letty is completely confused by what is happening. Then at last, the woman speaks, introducing herself as Shara, the twin sister of Erden's mother, Leonora. She asks to chat with him privately, and of course, Letty agrees, while Lucy thinks about exploring a bit, so she decides to take a walk to pass the time. When Shara mentions that their family has been scholars for generations, Erden is taken aback, because he believed his mom's family were assassins. How could he not when his mom is so free-spirited? She would jump over the railing, sleep with her eyes open, and she even trained all the archers of Halstead. It makes Shara laugh because it sounds just like her sister. Shara mentioned that Leonora enjoys traveling, and one day she surprised everyone by sending a letter announcing that she's already married. It's a shame that his awesome mom won't get to meet our awesome Letty. Anyway, the sisters kept in touch through letters for a few years, and Shara felt so happy when Leonora shared the news that she was expecting a baby. But then one day, Leonora suddenly stopped writing and mentioned that she would be cutting ties with her family. Shara found it puzzling, so she thinks that Leonora might have been threatened. She decided to make a list of suspects, and the Halsteads is included on it. This prompts Erden to ask about when she received the last letter, and his aunt replies that it was after he was born. It seems that she might have cut ties due to the curse? When Shara heard that Leonora had passed away, she felt a deep sense of regret for not having the courage to visit Halstead and have her sister introduce Erden to her. She seems nice, right? While walking, Letty is approached by a child who urgently asks for help, claiming she is being pursued by devils. Letty quickly assesses her surroundings and locates an underground waterway where she safely hides the child. But whoopsie, it turns out the devils are just maids and the child is actually Princess Daphne. Wait a minute, is this girl Astrode? Letty finds out the princess ran away because she hates math, and as a certified math hater herself, she lies to the maids to cover for the princess. After the maids leave, Letty helps the princess climb out of the hole. However, the stacked boxes the princess is standing on suddenly collapse, causing both of them to fall. Realizing the hole is too high to escape directly, Letty suggests finding another way out. They soon discover themselves in a room where a holy sword is on display. At the reunion, Shara shares a secret with Erden. She reveals that she found out his mom requested to speak with the Emperor, and she thinks it might have something to do with the Halstead family. The Emperor seems suspicious as well. Letty is convinced that the sword before them is the Sword of Limbo, belonging to the Halstead family. However, she becomes uncertain when the princess explains that it is the imperial treasure, historically used in the defeat of devils. Before the confusion can settle, the Emperor appears. Startled, Letty quickly introduces herself, while the princess immediately confesses that the entire situation is her fault. Only the imperial family is allowed in the vault, so technically, Letty is trespassing right now. But thankfully, the princess explains everything properly, and the emperor ends up apologizing to Leti. When Leti, Erden, and Lucifera finally regroup, Lucifera announces his serious assessment of the situation. He concludes that the palace is highly likely to be a gathering place for devil worshippers. He further reports that he can detect faint yet persistent traces of asteroid emanating from the nobles present, suggesting that asteroid may currently be operating within the capital itself. Later, as they return to the Dewsbury mansion, Erden and Leti begin exchanging everything they uncovered throughout the day. Erden mentions that his mother once submitted a formal request to the emperor, while Leti recounts the sword she saw in the imperial vault, what she believed to be the Sword of Limbo, though it is now officially labeled an imperial treasure. She also confesses that she met Asteroid's mind within the hall. Erden reacts strongly, visibly upset, and admits that anything involving her makes it difficult for him to stay calm. They're literally about to kiss when Allison's voice startles. "Allison dear, I like you, but keep it down." The Emperor summons Wizen and instructs him to keep watch over the people, as he is still uncertain whether they are allies or potential enemies. But hold on, the Emperor is wearing a necklace with that creepy red eye? He must be Asteroid. Makes sense. The next day, Leti and Erden arrive at the Imperial Temple for their scheduled preparation. There, they are met by Angelus, the High Priest, who will guide them through the rehearsal for the appointment ceremony. He explains the process in detail, including a spell that will be cast upon them to prevent any lies during the sacred inquiry. However, he reassures them that no personal matters will be questioned, only topics relevant to their qualifications as future Grand Lords will be addressed. Erden becomes curious about the rumor that angels are the ancestors of the imperial family, prompting Angelus to share the history behind it. Basically, long ago, angels, devils, and humans were all living peacefully together. But of course, the devils had to ruin it. They wanted to overpower the angels, so they started tempting humans into serving them. As humans kept falling for it, the devils got stronger and literal evil creatures started appearing everywhere, putting humanity in danger. So humans prayed, angels answered, and boom! Full-on war between angels and devils began, which is also known as the Age of Chaos. Victory was nearly within reach for the angels, until betrayal struck. A human wielding the Sword of Betrayal pierced the heart of the Archangel, and since then, angels disappeared completely. Angelus adds that, according to legend, the descendants of the angels later punished the human who betrayed them. Leti becomes visibly confused, as the Age of Chaos he describes bears a striking resemblance to the War of Dawn she is familiar with. Was it the Halsteads who struck down the Archangel, and is that the reason for their curse? History can totally be rewritten or distorted, so what if the angels weren't angels but actually devils? That evening, Leti searches for information on the DevilNet, but comes up empty-handed. Frustrated, she summons Lucifera, who immediately calls her crazy for wanting to return to the Hall of the Wretched. He reminds her how she could barely breathe the last time due to Asteroid's overwhelming presence. But who says she will confront Asteroid? Her plan is to ask the other lost minds in the hall instead. She feels there must be someone wandering the realm who witnessed what happened during the war, and she's correct. There's this wandering mind who claims to have seen the Dawn War, and that he was a mercenary at the time. He even confirms angels were real. But when she asks who stabbed the Archangel, he starts glitching out and just drops broken words like, "The sword, hidden, asteroid, fear, cursed, descendants of angels." And then out of nowhere, a giant hand from Asteroid's mansion just grabs him and straight up eats him. And it gets worse. Asteroid turns toward Leti next, and in that moment, she sees a glimpse of the Emperor and the High Priest behind him. Leti screams Erden's name, and he calls out to her just the same, pulling her back and jolting her awake while Lucifera is huffing from fighting the nightmare demons lurking around. Leti quickly apologizes to Erden for returning to the hall again, which only makes him both frustrated and saddened, knowing she keeps putting herself in danger because of him. But instead of blaming himself, he tells her it's not their fault. It's the devil who cursed the Halsteads. He gently bumps his forehead against hers and insists that next time she should take him with her. Leti is amazed by his growth. He used to blame himself and distance himself as a way to protect her, but now he's different, which makes her very happy. The next day, Letty receives an invitation from the Empress. At the palace, Princess Daphne immediately runs to hug her, while the Empress apologizes for the sudden summons. Daphne and Letty talk about life outside the palace until the child falls asleep. The Empress then speaks with Letty about her upcoming appointment ceremony, assuring her not to worry as it is mainly formal due to the Emperor's concerns. People claim they are the descendants of angels, but the truth is that they are cursed by angels because most imperial family members died young from illness, poisoning, and other causes. The Emperor's anxiety has only worsened over time, especially with devil invasions across the lands. However, thanks to the Halsteads, internal wars have subsided. The Empress takes the opportunity to thank Letty for helping make the world safer, enough that her daughter might one day be able to leave the palace. In response, Letty shares that while she didn't grow up knowing devils or wars, she witnessed jealousy, hatred, and betrayal so often that it felt like its own battlefield. Moved by her words, the Empress gently pats her head and praises her for becoming such a brave young woman, leaving Letty teary-eyed. Letty wonders why Asterode resides in the capital rather than in the north, where devils typically lurk. She suddenly realizes that he may be unable to go to the north, so she studies the Great Book's secrets and learns about magical seals that can keep away devils' powers. She finds it unusual that the seal has the same layout as the capital city, so she invites Erden to explore around the castle wall. From what Letty reads, the edges and center of the magic seal bear the 6 marks of those who participated in its casting, while the center itself serves as the seal's key. As they look around, they discover a large stone etched with ancient writing. Erden reads it as Gerber, one of the 7 archangels. They then notice 6 other stones along the walls, each seemingly bearing the names of archangels. This leads them to conclude that the final name must be at the center, likely Mika, the strongest archangel, as Erden suspects. It then dawns on Letty that the Sword of Limbo hidden in the Imperial Vault must be the seal's key, meaning Asterode is likely imprisoned at the very center of the capital, within the Imperial Palace itself. The realization makes her anxious, especially at the thought that tomorrow's pledge of loyalty to the Emperor could actually be a soul contract. Still, Erden believes they must face it head-on, rather than avoid it if they truly want the peace they've been fighting for. It's finally time for the ceremony, and Angelus casts an anti-lie spell on our pair before calling the lords forward for the sacred inquiry. This confuses Letty because she is unaware that many people will be interrogating them. But what surprised her is seeing her uncle and his family among the nobles. The sacred inquiry begins, with Auntie Shara and Count Wizen asking easy questions until it is time for her uncle to ask, at which point he gestures to the exit door. Everyone turns, and to their shock, a stone golem stands there. Panic erupts instantly. Letty's uncle claims the golem belongs to the Halsteads, and without giving them a chance to respond, insists that his daughters witnessed Letty talking in her sleep about a past life. He declares her a witch, and the accusation spreads quickly as nobles begin demanding she be burned. Even the Emperor questions whether she has made a contract with the devil. Leticia is getting cornered and unsure what to do as the crowd points fingers at her, causing Erden to unsheath his sword and swear that if they ever touch one strand of Leticia's hair, he will kill everyone. But under the anti-lie spell cast by Angelus, a mere gesture triggers unbearable pain in both of them, forcing Letty and Erden to their knees. Letty trembles, and this overwhelming presence reminds her so much of Asterode, and the Emperor's expression leads her to believe that he is Asterode. So she clenches on Angelus, hoping to receive help. But she is mistaken. This high priest is actually Asterode. The Emperor points his sword at Erden, convinced he's a rebel, and reaches to tear off his mask to expose the monster beneath. Without a trace of hesitation, Letty grabs the sword, her hands instantly bleeding. Still, her eyes burn with resolve as she warns him not to touch her husband or she will hunt him down. The way they protect each other is such a goal. Well, if they want to call her a witch, she's gonna serve witch. Cue the entrance of Belair, Mephisto, and Lucifera. Belair dispels the spell binding Letty and Erden, while Mephisto releases the golem from its restraints. The crowd starts panicking, and the golem freaks out and literally crashes into the walls. Good thing Lucifera is there, protecting Letty and Erden from all the falling debris. And in the midst of commotion, Allison slips them the pig's magic pouch and tells them to meet her at the mansion. Using the veil of ignorance, Letty and Erden disguise themselves as nobles and make it back to Dewsbury Mansion, where Allison guides them into a secret underground escape route. Letty is grateful for Allison, but why is she helping them? Who is she really? Allison discloses that she's a member of the Fifth Wing, a secret group whose purpose is to discover the truth about the imperial family. Duke Dewswell was also a member, which explains the secret passage in his mansion. They don't have much time to talk, but Allison informs Letty she is aware of the church's dark connections with the imperial family. She then hands her the map to the capital's underground paths, adding that the Halsteads are their only hope. After several days, the couple finally returns to Halstead, but no rest for them. That very evening, Romana rushes in with urgent news. Soldiers are advancing toward their territory. Count Wysen is ordered to invade House Halstead, though he believes it's a losing fight since they could strike back with evil creatures. However, the Emperor's goal isn't to take over their land. Instead, it's to win back the people's support. Since House Halstead has played a major role in maintaining peace, many have started blaming the imperial family for their failures. This strike is intended to put pressure on Halstead to back off, and Wysen has no choice but to comply. Erden never imagined they'd be fighting humans, let alone the imperial family, while Letty simply hopes they can carry out another miracle. She's already tired and wants to disappear, which makes her think of Velosa, the land of nothing. She promptly scans the Great Book of Secrets because she recalls reading a passage about the Great Sage being in a place where you can't find anyone, anything, or yourself, which is precisely the land of selflessness, Velosa. They head to the dimensional crack in Velosa after Letty realizes the only one who can give them answers is the Great Sage. With a magical red string binding Letty to Lucifera, she reassures Erden that Lucy can pull her back if anything goes wrong. Letty leaps into the dimension and lands in a white void, where the hooded Great Sage awaits, claiming he's been expecting her. Meanwhile, war erupts between Count Wysen's forces and Erden alongside the Halsteads. Amid a raging blizzard, Erden holds his ground until Leticia arrives just in time, riding Valhalla. She rushes to hug Erden and says that she has figured everything out, while Count Wysen goes towards them defenseless, confusing his men. Realizing he's only following an imperial order, Letty calls for the fighting to stop, reminding them they all have families to return to, then shocks everyone by declaring their surrender. Inside the carriage, Wysen removes their restraints and immediately asks about their plan to bring down the Emperor, impressing Letty with how sharp he is. And is it just me, or is Wysen starting to look handsome? The Emperor asks Wysen what reward he wants for his success, and the Count requests the title of Grand Lord, insisting the ceremony be held the very next day. He also proposes publicly punishing the Halsteads during the event to send a clear message that the imperial family still holds power. Back in the prison, Letty asks Erden to trust her no matter what happens, and of course, he doesn't hesitate, ready to follow her even to the end of the world. The day arrives, and the crowd chants for their execution, even throwing stones at the couple as the Emperor announces that Wysen himself will carry out the sentence, calling them servants of devils. Correction, ugly! They're not servants, they're the masters! When Letty meets the Great Sage, who turns out to be a girl with red hair hidden under her hood and looks a lot like Leticia, she learns the truth about the past. During the War of Dawn, Michael, the leader of the Archangels, used the Sword of Limbo. Together with the Sage and the humans, they were close to winning until the first Emperor betrayed them for power and wealth. After being stabbed, Michael couldn't use his full strength anymore, so the other Archangels and the Great Sage gave up their lives to separate Asteroid's soul from his body. Michael stayed behind to finish sealing him, but Asteroid fought back hard. He cursed Michael, and while his mind escaped, his soul ended up trapped inside the sword. Because of Asteroid's curse, Michael lost his wings and his memories, forced to wander the world as a human. He even saw himself as hideous because of the curse. With all the other Archangels gone, no one was left to tell him the truth, so he lived quietly in the north. It takes Letty a second to realize that the Archangel is Erden's ancestor, which freaks her out. That explains why our boy looks so angelic. The Great Sage continues, explaining that she foresaw something like this happening in the future because Asteroid was never fully sealed. That's why she created the land of selflessness and locked away her own mind, choosing to stay there alone forever, believing that someday someone would read her book. She also tells Letty that only Michael's descendant can use the Sword of Limbo, and that the Archangel's curse cannot be removed, but it can always be worked around through negotiation. Does anyone else think Letty is the Great Sage? Is she her ancestor? Or from the multiverse? I need confirmation! Back in the present, Valhannes suddenly appears, looming over the palace and shocking the crowd, the Emperor, and especially Angelus. Taking advantage of the chaos, Wyzen frees Erden from his shackles, and Erden immediately moves to seize the Sword of Limbo from the Emperor. Angelus tries to strike Erden, but is surprised when his attack is easily blocked. Letty tells him that his soul is still trapped and his current body is weak, so he should just make a contract with her instead. This girl really never stops surprising me. Angelus laughs because how could he make a contract when he doesn't have a soul? Simple, they can just give it back to him, and so Erden stabs him with the Sword of Limbo. It instantly transforms his body into a monster, his flesh twisted as all the souls he absorbed awaken inside him, writhing and screaming, turning him into a horrible clump of millions of trapped souls. With this hideous proof behind her, Leticia turns to the crowd and exposes the truth about their country and the church, warning that no one is truly safe. Letty then confronts Asteroid directly, declaring she will still make a contract with him even if his flames surround and threaten her, because she will become the red flame that burns even brighter and outshines him. A blinding light engulfs them, and when it finally clears, Leticia and Asteroid have vanished. Erden is left in shock and panic. Then in desperation, he slams the Sword of Limbo into the ground. Letty finds herself with Asteroid, both seated on a grand chair. She is stunned to see the true face of this Grand Devil. Like, what the hell? Why is he so good looking? I didn't expect this! Anyway, begin negotiating. Letty already knows Asteroid has no intention of lifting the curse, since doing so would release Michael's power and threaten his control over the devils. Instead, she proposes that he keeps the curse but transfers it to her. In return, she offers something valuable. She can stop the Sword of Limbo, which is his greatest fear, which immediately catches his interest. She explains that the Halstead's heart is linked to the sword, and as the wife of the last Halstead descendant, she will not bear a child, meaning the family line ends and the sword loses its power. Asteroid is impressed, but confused as to why she would go this far. Letty simply answers that she loves Erden enough to take on his curse herself, even if it means betraying humanity. They need a witness to seal the contract, and Lucifera is the obvious choice. They begin, and the contract specifies that Leticia Grey Halstead will carry the curse and will not bear an heir, which seals the contract. The moment it is sealed, the realm itself cracks open and Erden appears. Asteroid is confused as the devils suddenly swarm him, claiming the curse is gone. Black smoke then rises from Erden's chest, proving it. Letty hugs Erden tightly and cries in relief as she confirms the curse has been lifted. Erden then asks the question that everyone wants to know. How? Lucifera figures out Letty's trick. The contract only applies to Leticia Grey Halstead, but she no longer uses that name. She is simply Leticia Halstead now. Because of that loophole, the contract never truly binds her. A genius! She's a freaking genius! The curse is still there, just waiting for Leticia Grey Halstead to appear again. Asteroid is reduced to something like a small seed after his soul and mind are consumed by his devil followers. Erden worries this fragment might still reactivate the curse, but to their surprise, Lucifera eats it, smiling as he declares that he is finally free from Asteroid's shadow. He then gives a big smile and says goodbye to his master, revealing he actually read their contract carefully. It ends once Erden's curse is lifted. Letty asks what he'll do next, and Lucifera says he'll sleep for a long time and drift through human nightmares like the devil of indolence that he is. She smiles, realizing they likely won't meet again, and says her goodbye as the chain binding them finally breaks free. No, my Shayla! Can't he just stay? At the palace, the truth is finally exposed. The Emperor is the devil worshipper who has been sacrificing people's souls for power. The Emperor tries to escape with the Empress and Princess Daphne, but the Empress refuses after realizing the imperial family's short lives were the price of his devil contract. Furious, the Emperor turns on his own family and attacks them, but Count Wyzen steps in just in time to protect them. Suddenly, the nobles wearing eye-shaped accessories begin turning to ash, including Duchess Sabrath, and obviously the Emperor himself. After the chaos, Letty and Erden return, only to be surprised when Valhannes speaks. He reveals he is the last remaining memory of the Halstead ancestor and must return to his rightful owner. He says a final goodbye to Leticia, then asks Erden to hold out his hand and tap him. Wait, my baby, no! The moment he does, Erden's mask shatters and he is engulfed in glowing smoke. Erden ascends into the sky, and to everyone's shock, becomes a true angel with 4 wings. Ugh, he's so lovely! He then descends again, and the moment Leticia touches his bare face, he breaks down in tears while she happily hugs him. Inside the palace, Erden turns red when Letty teasingly says he's been this handsome all along. The Empress arrives and announces that the capital will hold a festival to celebrate the descent of an angel, though she now faces a bigger issue. The throne is empty and Princess Daphne is still too young to rule. Allison steps forward and offers help, introducing herself as the granddaughter of the 4th princess, meaning the Emperor's youngest sister is her grandmother. The Emperor originally took the throne after crushing a rebellion, but what no one knew was that the rebellion was actually led by the princesses after they uncovered the imperial family's secret. The princesses were believed to have died during that uprising. However, Allison recently discovers that the eldest princess, the leader of the rebellion, is still alive. She also reassures the Empress that the princess will only act as regent until Princess Daphne comes of age. Then the arrival of Princess Alexandria is announced. Everyone looks on. And holy shocking plot twist, it's Alexa we all know! Seeing Casaro and Bastian awkwardly walking in, it's clear they also don't know Alexa's true identity. Erden and Letty approach them, and at first they don't recognize Erden, until he explains that the curse has been lifted, and yes, they all scream in shock. During the meeting, Alexa proves her identity by showing her mother's engagement ring. Everyone recognizes it as the one Erden once retrieved after she sold it to help the Halsteads, leaving them emotional and teary. Alexa assures the Empress she has no interest in the throne and only plans to train Princess Daphne. This means she will leave the Halstead household, but she appoints Allison as the new Halstead butler, a role Allison happily accepts. Their next issue is that the imperial family isn't truly descendants of angels, so Princess Daphne's legitimacy may be questioned. To fix this, they agree the Empire should strengthen its bond with the Halsteads, the true descendants. Since Letty and Erden don't have an heir yet, Alexa notes that it will eventually depend on the child's own choice in the future. Princess Daphne, excited, already loves the idea of Letty and Erden becoming her future in-laws, while the couple immediately gets flustered at the thought of having a baby. Still, they end up sharing a warm smile, finally able to look forward to a peaceful future together. A year later, Letty still lights up every morning at the sight of Erden. Life stays busy as they continue managing Halstead and their territories, with Belair and Mephistil still annoying her. It feels a bit emptier without Valhannes, but the baby golems bring warmth back, and they're also expecting a child of their own. Yay! To end the story, Leticia smiles brightly as she runs to hug Erden, his wings already spread wide, ready to carry her literally up to the moon. Aw, I'll definitely miss our prettiest scammer and our hot baby girl angelic male lead, but it would have been nice to see their little angel babies too. A lesson to remember: don't judge someone too quickly, okay? Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next story!